I think we scared a few pants off and a few socks off tonight, and that is a mission accomplished for me.
Sadly, it was just my pants and socks. It was no one else.
It's time for Gavin Doodle.
Hello, ghosts, ghouls, and goblins. Welcome to Gavin Doodle on All Hallows Eve? I don't remember. It's the night before Halloween. It's so spooky. So tonight we're gonna call it Stab and Doodle. Whoa, scary. You're watching on Instagram right now. It's at Studio Hoffman, but later I'll post it to YouTube at Studio Hoffman. If you're watching it on YouTube, you can watch it on Instagram as well at Studio Hoffman. And you can ask us anything tonight. And I have a special guest on tonight that I'm going to let in a second. Let me just put in, ask us spooky questions. See if I can spell out this whole thing. That's long. So tonight we have on a special guest who has a newish book out by the name of, and you can probably see it right here, but Luke Flowers. Luke Flowers is an amazing illustrator. Has illustrated a ton of books, and I mean a ton, like 80, I think, somewhere around there, which is insane. And has done all sorts of books, but he has this new book out with Sue Gann-Smith called Party Monsters on the Block. That's a follow-up to their, I don't know if it's listed in here. It probably is. The original, The Monster on the Block. There it is. There's a little picture of it. Let me zoom in so you can see the little picture. And so it seems very appropriate to have him on tonight. Ooh. He also did the Moby Shinobi books, which I assume people have seen. And all sorts of IP books, including, well, he did one for Mr. Rogers, but we have this one, the Jim Henson's Labyrinth. And Luke is a big fan of puppets and Muppets, and so being involved in stuff like Labyrinth and Jim Henson's Labyrinth, I'm sure was a lovely, lovely event. But tonight, again, it's called Stab and Doodle. So let me let our guest in real quick before we get started. I'll show you what my sketch is for the night. It may or may not turn out like this. We'll figure it out. But it's a witch, Frankenstein, mummy, and Wolfman all flying on a broom. Ooh. Okay, let me switch my camera. Here I am. Oh, I should have worn like fangs or something like that, but I didn't. So you get the spooky version. That's just me in general. I'm going to let our ghost. I'm going to let our, instead of guest, I said ghost in. Ooh, that was pretty good. I'm going to let our ghost, our special ghost in. Ooh. And sip some water. And it will let our special ghost in a second. It should. And if it doesn't, I will try an invite. Maybe I'll try the invite. Ooh. Am I getting brought something?
Yes.
Okay, Luke, I have sent an invite. What am I given? Oh, I have a scary okay, don't just slam it on me. Oh, I'm a mind flayer. Ooh, scary. Okay, let's try socks. And they're bluey socks. Let me see if I can get Luke in again one more time. Bear with me. Oh, this is so steamy under this. Okay, I've sent an invite. Here we go.
Oh, gosh. I bet you thought I ghosted you there.
Oh, no. Just for, that would have been the worst thing in the world.
That would have been really clever. I should have thought of that. I should have not shown up.
Well, welcome.
Well, thank you, and thanks for the lovely intro. That was very flattering.
Yes, I've said this many a times, but I think you are one of the nicest people in Kidlit, and I believe it to be true.
Oh, well.
Who do we have with us tonight?
Oh, yeah, this is my friend Monster. He decided to join us since we're talking about his book. Yeah, I think it'll be great to do some stabbing, some doodling, maybe a more stabbing than doodling.
We got a
You
picture
like
of him
that,
right
yeah?
here.
Oh,
He's got-
looking good. He does look really good. This is his second book. I mean, so good that they brought him back for a second. So he
yeah,
must have done something right.
he
Oh,
might
you
be
know it.
the most famous one of us in the room today.
Yeah.
I haven't had a book about me yet. I don't know if you have,
No,
Luke, but
we should work on that. There does need to be the Hoffman story.
yeah, it's a sad tale.
It is tragic. It's a dramedy.
Yeah, there you go. It's the night before Halloween. Do either of you have any special plans for tomorrow?
We're just going to be creeping around the neighborhood. Our kids are all now too old to be trick or treating, so they have their own parties. So we're just going to go out and walk around and enjoy, some hot drinks and live vicariously through others that are
Okay.
enjoying Halloween
Okay.
with small children. And then probably watching a scary movie by myself. So,
Oh,
yes.
no one else likes scary movies in the house?
Well, they're going to all be at their own parties, and my wife hates scary movies. So
Yeah, there you go.
I haven't seen Weapons yet, so it's going to be Weapons. And
Oh, we watched that 2 nights ago.
okay,
Uh,
good. Yes.
Last night? No, 2 nights ago, and it was good.
Yeah. I mean, Monster will probably be there with me. I love a good scary movie. Yeah.
He'll be keeping you company. You'll be like holding on to him tight, and he'll soak up all your tears.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that sounds like a lovely plan. I have a feeling we're going to be watching a scary movie too. I don't know which one yet, but we've been going through scary movies all week, and so
Classics or new ones?
yeah, a variety. We've been watching good ones and bad ones. I don't know if you've ever watched Monster Squad, but it does feature Frankenstein.
I do. I love that one. Yes.
The
The old Wolfman's got nards.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's the quote. Uh, there is a movie apparently that kid that said that is in a movie called Wolfman's Got Nards.
Oh yeah,
That's
it's
must
like
have been made
documentary.
after the fact. Was it a documentary?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I didn't know that.
I did an art show with a friend, and so some of my art is in that documentary. We did like a
Really?
tribute to Monster Squad. So yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we watched it and we couldn't remember whether we had seen it recently or not. I saw it when I was a kid.
Yeah, it still holds up. It's campy in all the right ways.
Yes. And what's Monster's favorite movie?
Oh, probably Frankenstein. And we did go to the new Guillermo del Toro one, which it was wonderful. It was
Oh, was it?
beyond
Good.
expectations. I loved it. I can't wait till it's now on Netflix on November 7th. But we went to the theaters, and I didn't expect to cry as much, but I did. It was beautiful. And I was only crying because you were crying, and I was embarrassed for you, really. Grown man crying at monster movies.
Were you crying because it was sad, or were you crying because it was scary? Were you crying?
Both. I mean, it was like beautifully done. Like I felt like he captured the character in a way that I've never seen, and it was also just like he's so good at that, like just weaving a sort of a new version of a story you kind of already know. Just like with Shape of Water, we all see the like kind of monster and woman, kind of fall in love or have this forbidden love.
That's his specialty is
Yeah.
monsters.
Yeah.
I am not.
recommend.
I was going to say, are either of you fans of jump scares? Because I'm not a jump scare person. That's not my thing.
I do enjoy a good one, but not like just constant. Nobody needs that. Our nerves are already shot,
Did either of you see Sinners?
Yes, that had some pretty good jump scares. I thought like Long Legs had some good ones where all of a sudden like he would just be there, and like all of a sudden he would just like kind of in your face with his.
We haven't
creepy-
seen that one,
Oh,
but
you
I've
have?
heard of it, but I have not seen it. But so for all the people watching, going, why are you both on here? I would like if you could, and you've been a guest before. I think you're the third. I mean, minus Monster. Luke, you're the third person who's come back for just a regular show, not a Game and Doodle.
Oh, okay.
Regular show. Your third repeat. And so
Do
people
I get
might
a
have seen
robe?
the previous one, but that was ages ago. And so obviously things have changed. But can you tell people who you are and what you do?
Yeah, Luke Flowers. I mean, you already did a great job of it. I felt like that was such flattery. Yeah, children's book illustrator, author of some, mostly illustrating. Um, Often doing some little puppeteering just for fun. What oh, you call it a puppet? And I mostly have the puppets join me with several books I've done. I'll just do some puppets to help with the book events. Do a lot of book events, traveling to schools, and so it's always fun to have a little friend along with me. It gets really lonely on the road, somebody sharing the just lonely life.
I can
But yeah,
understand.
mostly just illustrating. I do music as well. Singer songwriter. Play banjo, guitar. So it's a little bit of everything. Keeps me sane, I guess.
And
But
then
yeah.
I saw that, yeah, you had posted about the music that you're doing an event with. I think, was it one of your kids was going to play with you?
Yeah, my daughter, she plays piano. She's a beautiful piano player. And so we just did a bunch of, it was just Halloween themed. So we just did like a bunch of our favorite Halloween kind of theme songs, or mostly like ghostly sort of haunted sort of songs. Some of them were like, what I like to do is like reimagine certain songs. So like the Grim Grinning Ghosts, but do it on the banjo and do it kind of in a weird kind of Tom Waits style, so it's kind of gritty, a little more gritty. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's the kind of stuff I like to do.
You have to scream for about 5 hours to get your
Yeah,
throat
I
to
do a lot of cigarettes,
do
chain smoking right
it. Yeah.
before, swallow some sandpaper, and then I'm just writing key.
And did Monster join you for the
Uh,
event?
no, he did not. It was mostly adult. It wasn't as much of a kid movie one because it was mostly just sad songs. So I used to do it when our kids were little. That was kind of the idea, and I was like, I should just do this for adults. We like to just get around and have some drinks and listen to spooky old songs that are kind of twangy and bluegrassy. So
So
yeah, it was fun.
what right now, do you want to, that's going to put you on the spot and say, would you like to have a sip of water while Monster sings for us so we can hear his singing?
That would be fun.
So tonight we're going to doodle, and from what I heard, there was a rumor that Monster might draw a little too. I don't know.
He's a good artist. He's actually I do a lot of outsourcing to him, so
Oh,
I
really?
think yeah, he might outdraw me, but yeah, we'll see.
Wait a second. Monster, do you get paid enough?
In respect, he says he's paying me in respect, which is hard to come by these days.
That's better than exposure.
Yes,
Respect is better than
and
exposure.
candy, often candy. It's mostly just candy.
Yeah. Um, and do you know what you're drawing tonight?
We thought because it's Monster is like the book is kind of scary, team funny. We thought we would do sort of some funny items with scary characters. So
Okay.
I have like a bowl of funny items and a bowl of scary items. We're going to kind of do a Richard Scary idea,
Oh,
kind of like Busy Town Cars.
okay.
So we're going to have funny objects with scary monsters and cars. So
Lovely.
that was our collab idea.
And then are you, because Lauren, who you know, has documents this, do you have any sense of material-wise what you're doing? Are you on the?
Just like colored pencils and ink, just some ink.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't get to do that very often because everything's digital. So I just like to. I kind of wanted to approach it like when I used to play games at the table with my kids and just get out some crayons and pencils and ink, just kind of have fun doodling and coloring it in.
Gotcha. I just realized that you have two Kermits behind you, and I'm wondering if Monster knows Kermit.
Oh yeah, good friend. It ain't easy being green. So.
Oh yeah. That's your theme song.
Yeah.
It struck a nerve when that song.
It really did. They connected right away. Kindred spirits, really kindred spirits.
Okay, well, why don't we get to our downsheets?
Okay.
And we can start doodling and drawing and making and whatever form that takes.
Okay, I'll swing my camera around over here. Try to figure this out. All right.
Switch mine real quick. Again, just for people, I have this here. That's the sketch, which I will show periodically. But while we're getting set up, just so you know, again, I have the feed up so I can see when people ask questions. But I see it looks like someone is asking
looks like Anna Puppets says, I am scared to do puppeteer. I'm assuming puppeteer work. What would you say to someone who is scared to do it? So
Oh,
this, I'm assuming this is to Luke and not to Monster, but it would, does Monster have an opinion in that as well?
I mean, for me, it's like I'm not great at it. When I first started doing it, it was let me see if I'm here in this. Okay, we're in this space here. When I first started out doing it, I wasn't great at it, of course. I mean, I've done puppets ever since I was a little kid. I like the like my original, just kind of little Kermit guy here. Hi ho, Kermit the Frog here. So just like the I don't know if I have him down there, but yeah. So just started out with those like old puppets, and then the first puppet I did was like a Moby Shinobi puppet, and so just kind of doing that with the book and starting to kind of just try to do those at live events. Again, I wasn't great at puppeteering. I'm not a ventriloquist by any means, but it was just a fun way. I saw the kids, then they started to interact with the puppets, just like what I always loved about Jim Henson was, and any of the puppeteers was, as you know, like on Sesame Street when the kids are there, they're just really interacting with the puppet, not noticing the puppeteer.
Yeah.
So that for me was the magic of what I wanted to do with like the book events. And kids often do that. They're just listening to the character reading the book, and then they come up and ask the character questions versus me. And so I don't know. That's the fun I like
That's
of it.
that's nothing like making a star that somehow steals your spotlight.
Right. It actually
Bringing that's when Charlie, our son, was really little. There were times where he'd come to an event and he clearly had some sway over the audience, you know, just being there in the background and whatnot. And I'm sure that he drew attention away, but probably not the same way that Monster or any of the puppets steal your thunder out from
yeah.
under.
I mean, hopefully not, but I mean, it's fun. I think it's just fun. And I don't have a puppet for every book I do, but just the ones I know I'm going to go on kind of a bigger book tour with. So like, yeah, the Moby Shinobi ones, like the unicorn, mermaid, dinosaur, Santa Yeti was a fun one I did with Matthew Lunn. But yeah, other than that, and then like I'm having another one made for the next couple of books I'm working on. So, and it's been fun. I get to then work with really great puppeteer or puppet designers, and so that's kind of been fun just to see their adaptation of the characters from the books.
No, wait a second. You're saying May. Does have you had this discussion with Monster at any point to talk about these things? So it's not.
I mean, he's in the other room eating. He's eating the candy right now, so he didn't even hear that. He just crinkling
Okay,
all the candy.
You don't want to. You don't want to have to bring up the birds and the bees
Yeah.
with Monster at the moment. That's an awkward situation.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit. I know that I mean we saw each other. What was that, like a month ago, something like that? Out your way, but the Monster book, the Party Monsters on the Block. You were kind enough to sign over a copy to us, which we clearly appreciated. But when did that book come out? That's the like.
Yeah, that's just,
we got a copy. I didn't look at like, oh, publishing date.
yeah. No, it that one just came out. Let's see, that was right in September, so it's just pretty new. It just came out, and yeah, so it's fun because it's got like a fall theme to it, you know. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun year round. But I mean, the fun thing about that book, honestly, it almost didn't come out. It was Sue and I were working on it right as my wife Tessa got cancer,
Yeah.
and so it was like right. It was a book I was just getting ready to start on, and so it was really like touch and go. I was really struggling to be able to keep up with deadlines. And I mean, the team was so nice to just be like, hey, you know, you've got some work made, but let's take a break. So we actually ended up postponing it by a year, the
Oh,
release date.
okay. That's
So
super.
they were really nice. They knew, I mean, it was such a special book. I didn't want to like miss the opportunity to work on it. So they were so gracious. I kind of worked on it over that year, kind of in and out of hospitals. But yeah, so it was a hard a hard time to be creating, but it gave me a lot of joy because I love like illustrating monsters. If it's not monsters, just animal characters. Those are my favorite things to draw. So for me, it was like very therapeutic to be working through it, but it was also a challenge because you're going through a really hard time, and sometimes it's really hard to like be drawing cute, fun things when you're feeling kind of at the
Yeah.
lowest point. But there was parts of it that just really helped me, just collaborate with Sue. She was also going through some really hard health things, and so
Oh.
we were mostly just kind of finding, some I don't know, just some unity in that. The neat thing is the book's all about unity and community and coming together.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and so the neat thing, I mean, that was just a fun thing, obviously going through different worlds in different places, but we just felt really united in like what we wanted the book to still be about. Um, and I also think it's a great book, right? Currently just, it's like one of those Mr. Rogers sort of episodes. Like as a kid, you might read it and think, oh, it's just kind of about like sharing and having differences of opinions, with your friend.
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
just so much more going on that Sue writes about, just kind of what we're dealing with in society with just like who's right, who's wrong, can we all get along kind of idea. And so at the cost of what, like relationships, things like that. So I just loved that aspect of being able to tell stories like that with a children's book that has a little bit more heart to it than, it might be first on the first pass that a kid might not understand right away, but hopefully they pick up on those themes and
I also
yeah.
I can imagine too that the aspect of working on a book like that, and then especially through such a troubling time, that when it finally comes out, there's some like it's almost a reflection point for you to look back on sort of the year that you had, or the or in that case maybe 2 years because it got delayed, and sort of being able to sort of I guess be retrospective of or that's not what's the word I'm looking for there, not retrospective, that sounds weird, um,
Oh,
but being able to look back and just say like, wow, this, not only have you gone through an experience, but the book has gone through an experience, and both have sort of come out the other side in a way, for better or for worse, they both have made it to a point like this. Was
yeah.
it was it more of an emotional impact having seen? And I know you probably had a couple books that went through that same like time frame, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that was the thing. I mean, I had most of the books that are actually coming out this year were all sort of done in a little bit of that. But there was a few that, you know, they, we postponed them or they were able to come out on time. But this one was just taking a lot of time because it was just, there was a lot going on in this book. As you can see, there's just a lot of characters. It's just
Yes.
packed with so many different monsters. So,
Let me
um,
show for people the idea of like I to be honest, the amount of work that you do, and then the speed at which you do it too, and like for me, putting in a book or putting out a book is takes a long time just to make the work in general. But then on top of that, you put in all these fun little things hidden in the images, and things are crowded with lots of and I say crowded in a good way, but crowded with like so much information in all of these images that they can't be uh, like they can't be easy to do. Yet somehow you get it done in such a fast manner. I'm trying to like flip through so people can see the amount of imagery that shows up in a book like this. I mean, like just this spread alone of the party here and all of the monsters, and having to come up with all the little funny like jokes and hidden things and whatnot. I am envious of your skill, envious of your ability to sort of tackle projects like that. But then um, it all pays off in the end that you get these books that have like they're clearly fun books for kids just in general. Um, Tell me, so I was looking up, and I don't know, and you can probably help me through this, but those books are published by, what is it? I'm trying to remember. Is that Roaring Book? No. Oh, that's Two Lions.
oh yeah, the two
Right.
lines. Mhm.
Who is? Two Lions is under who? Like, what's it an imprint of?
It's like under Amazon Publishing.
It is Amazon. Okay,
Uh-huh.
that's. I was doing some research on it, trying to find like. Uh, I assumed it was Amazon Publishing just because that was what was coming up over and over. But it was one of those ones where there were a couple of different things out there that were not publishing that were Two Lions that kept popping up, and I was like, what? Why am I getting so confused through all of this? But was that a good publisher in general to work with?
Yeah,
Of
I
course, you're
mean,
not going to say no, but
right, right. No, I mean, and I'll be honest. I mean, there's challenges to working with them, and that's the hard thing with um, Amazon is because bookstores don't carry it, and so it is all through
yeah,
Amazon's
yeah,
promotional, um, and they do a great job. I mean, I've working with Marilyn. She was our art director. I mean, she's amazing. Like I said, they treated us and our family with just such kindness and patience and support, and knew how special the book was to us, and um, so for me, I know, Amazon can be a bit of a beast in a lot of ways.
yep,
If we're just honest, and right now that can be challenging, putting a book out when some of that's not seen in the indie book world. So for me, that's hard in a way to, get the books out there, but they do a great job. And, I still, do book tours with it, to some schools. And I mean, it's just fun to it's still a book I absolutely love. It's not,
yeah. Well,
you know,
they do good production on their books too. So it's not like it's a. I mean, it is that I didn't even think about. I wasn't thinking of it even in that idea of sort of the indie bookstore challenge of it, which is interesting.
yeah,
An interesting concept or like debate there that I'm sure is something that lots of folks have thought about. But just that idea of because it is it's one of those ones where like most people when they think of like book publishing they immediately go to Scholastic or they go to some of
hmm
the stuff that's been around for a while, and then all of a sudden you have this one that's a little bit different or a name that I didn't even know, to be honest. Like I know that I've had you on before, and I think maybe maybe the first monster book wasn't out at that point, so I didn't even know that Amazon had its own publishing wing that wasn't sort of self-published wing. Like you can do
yeah,
that. I forget what that's called. There's a whole nother wing of that. But has the reception of the book been good across the board?
yeah. It has been really good. I mean, that like I said, they have a great team of like, they do great promotions in just through the site, but also a lot of like, um, you know, uh, book promo, like podcasters and
Yeah.
um, you know, online like social. They have a great team that helps get the word out. And I mean, like I said, it's one that I absolutely love. I love working with Sue. So we've done tours out to LA. That's where she lives, and so um, it's a book that I love just getting out and promoting. Like I said, it's monsters. I could draw monsters and talk about monsters all day. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, despite like maybe some of the extra challenges of working with a publisher that's in less bookstores on bookshelves. Um, I mean, I'm such a big fan of it, and working with Sue on it has been so great. And we've even tried to put together some like shows. We've had people interested in turning it into like a show. So
Oh,
there's
really?
been parts of that have been fun, just talking through, just a little bit, developing the kind of world that the monsters are living in. Um, so for me, that's the fun stuff. I just kind of think about where it could go. But I mean, I just love working with Sue. She's such a fun writer. And again, like the first one, it's kind of about like inclusivity, even though it's just kind of about a new kind of different character coming into the neighborhood. Um, but I just like the way that she writes these stories that are, um, you know, just fun visually, but also have kind of a sweet message to them without being overly preachy. Um, and
No.
so
Oh,
that's what I like about working with her stories. It's like this vehicle for a really, um, I don't know, even just like when that the first one came out, a monster, that monster on the block, it was like kind of right during, kind of a lot of the COVID and You know, just a lot of the controversy that was going on in the country, and it just felt like a really relevant story to like trying to see eye to eye with people that maybe have different views or are different from you. And um, so I don't know, I like that we kind of were able to carry over that into this next series of the book, without, again, like being too preachy. It's just kind of like a fun story that anybody can relate to, with having differences. And there's plenty of differences in our country right now and in the world that,
Yep.
you know, so.
You don't
But
say. You don't say.
yeah, you know, you might have heard, you might have heard on the socials.
Yeah.
So
Just
being
inkling.
able to like have that kind of you know, message in there and trying to like, how do you do it in a way that doesn't, you know, obviously they've got like the team scary, the team funny. I'm team both, you know, so it's like I like that it wasn't like making one of them to be the villain or one of them's wrong or one of them's right. It's just you know, again, it's not pulling directly from, you know, society in any way, but there's aspects of it that I think we can all relate to.
Yeah. Did Sue reach out to you about the idea first, or like how did like I've worked on one series that was a repeat books, and there's a point wherein both people have to be on board for it to work. And I'm wondering, was that something that like the publisher came to you and said, hey, we got another book here? Was that something that Sue wrote to you and said, I was thinking about writing something? Was that something that you both said, hey, it'd be fun to do another one? What kind of, like, was there some pre-existing conversation before that book actually got picked up?
Yeah, I mean, we always wanted to do more because like right after we did the first one, and then we were kind of talking with some talks about like turning it into a show. So we started kind of developing a bunch of different, you know, scenarios. Where could these characters go? And plus, it has so it's like, you know, a lot of the scenes are just so many characters that could have side
Yeah.
stories and stuff. So I always wanted to do more, but again, we just didn't know. The book did really well as far as sales, so I think that helped them want to do a second. But again, it just felt like the story just kind of got started with the way it ended, with them kind of becoming friends. And so this idea of like, now they're friends, but you know, even friends have some differences. And
Yeah. Squabble.
yeah, we got some scrambles. But yeah, it was fun to then kind of get the surprise of that they want to do a second. I don't know if we'll do a third. I hope so. I mean, we've got plenty of other ideas, kind of like where they could go and
Well,
what
I mean,
kind of adventure they'd have.
you mentioned Richard Scarry before, and so like having the story built out in monsters immediately, there is like there is the cohort of the universal monsters that you can play off of, and
Yeah,
that people understand the dynamic of them, but then you also have that like Richard Scarry-esque like ability to take each one of those characters and expand it to something else into
yeah,
a story or what have you as time goes on. So I definitely could see it branching out, and for all we know, the little character in the background is going to be the biggest star of them all. You'll produce a book and all of a sudden it'll be, well, everybody loved Dracula the best, and then all of a sudden that becomes its own series. And
yeah,
it's interesting how how things like that can just bloom and blossom in general in this industry. Like you just don't know what's going to strike people's fancy, and
hmm
it can really go fast. Do you have going back to puppets for a minute?
yeah.
I'm wondering where did the love of puppets, like, was there, because you're about the same age as me. I think you're maybe a little bit younger, but you probably grew up with the same basic content. So like, was it Muppets? Was it Fraggle Rock? Was it was it some specific show or content that really hooked you? Was it an early age, or did you find puppets later in life?
No, I mean, I think like a lot of us that grew up in the 80s, it was, you know, Sesame Street was the first sort of introduction to it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's when I really just started to fall in love, even just like my love, I think, for monsters as well. And just like the silly characters that, you know, just filled Sesame Street. And then, you know, like I was too young when like, you know, the first Muppet movie came to theaters, but it wasn't really even until the Muppets Take Manhattan that kind of came out. I was like 5, I think, at that age.
Okay.
And so going to be able to see like a Muppet movie in the theaters was just absolutely mind-boggling. And so I think that's why I love the Muppet movie, the original, the first one. But Manhattan always has kind of a special place in my love for just the film.
When when did the first one come out? I'm trying to think of like.
Let's see, so 19 like 81, 80, something like that. So I was only like 1 years old, I think, when that one came out, and then Caper came out, and again, like just too old to be going to the theaters.
Yeah.
Uh,
To be honest, I don't even know like when I saw them first, but I was wondering like, was it a even an age range where I would have remembered, and I would have been, like I can't remember back to when I was 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever. So like, who knows? That I may have seen it in the theater, I may not have.
yeah,
I had an older brother, so that would probably mean that we probably did see it.
yeah,
I have no memory of it at this point. I mentioned Fraggle Rock. Fraggle Rock is one of those ones where like I feel like a lot of people our age remember that, but I don't remember it really, which is like I don't know if it wasn't available to me, but because that one's around like the early '80s, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and so
Um,
but so you've gotten to work on books like Labyrinth, which of course
yeah.
is a Henson production. I know you're a big Henson fan. Is there a term for a Henson head? Uh, is there a terminology for someone
But
that's into that?
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just always say like all things Henson, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, for me, like. Yeah, Fraggle Rock was a huge one. I think Fraggle Rock, Muppet Babies, the animated
Oh,
series was also kind of big.
okay.
But then like, Jim Henson's like, his actual like the Jim Henson Hour was probably the one that was like during my growing up. I got to, watch reruns of the Muppet Show, but that wasn't until like it was on reruns, or you could get the VHSs or the DVDs,
Yeah.
that you could actually watch all of it like that. Um, and for me, really, like it was like growing up, you didn't even really know. For me, I didn't really even understand who these creators were, like Jim Henson. I wouldn't even know. It was just I liked the characters. But
Yeah.
once you got into like middle school, and all of a sudden you started like, oh, it's Jim Henson this, Jim Henson that. I think that's when I really started to understand that way of storytelling across the board. Of course, then all of a sudden he throws a curveball and comes out with like Dark Crystal, and also that's a whole different world. And I remember seeing that one in the theaters, thinking like, "This is amazing." I know a lot of people were kind of turned off by it, but I just loved it because it was like this whole new idea of like the size of the puppets, the way
Yep.
that like he just created these Muppets. I mean, the whole team did. I say Jim Henson, but obviously it was the whole team. The Resi created the uh, Creature Shop, to be able to create those large scale puppets. But I mean, we grew up in a time that was like just so puppet heavy. I feel bad I should have Monster come back in here in a minute. I'll draw this one, then Monster can draw the next one.
Well, I'm just that idea of like,
He's in a candy coma.
oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. He's had too many Twizzlers in the
Yeah.
background. Just that idea of like, yeah, you're right. There were a lot of puppet shows. I mean, partially that. I wonder if that's purely because of the. I mean, right now there's so many animated shows that are out there, but it also animation has probably gotten cheaper to produce because it's not hand drawn animation. It's digital, and there's all sorts of things. But I'm wondering if that had some an easy way to create characters that could move on screen without needing a ton of employees off site doing in betweens and all the options. The idea of stuff like Dark Crystal. I mean, I'm trying to think of like there were a lot of like puppet related things back in the day, and I don't remember all of them, but I do remember like commercials that had puppets, and we all had probably an affection. But when you mentioned Muppet Babies, I was like, oh yeah, that is like a core memory of mine is watching Muppet Babies and whatever Kermit's what was his like cousin that was the tadpole
Yeah.
showing up, and like to me even though it was like probably a trope that came from Tom and Jerry, the idea of like the adults only being legs
Hmm.
and that kind of stuff, like those are things that I to this day whenever I reference to students, like maybe you don't have to show the people, you can just have some little hint of them like in Muppet Babies, and then they go,
Hmm.
what? and then like they have no idea what that even means. But um, that is a core memory to go.
Yeah.
Was there like when you because this is of interest to you, the puppetry side, do you think it in any way impacts the way that you work as an illustrator, in the sense that like, are you making up voices in your head as you work? Are you like, does it infiltrate in any capacity?
Yeah, I mean that's the fun thing. Like especially when I like have the puppets made, just trying to come up with the characters' names and like their voices and what they're gonna kind of talk like. That's always fun. I mean, yeah, I think like a lot of us, we're always just kind of sitting there having kind of a funny conversation in our heads about the characters and the worlds. I think for me, it's I think just kind of the as I was working, especially like on this monster one, right? Like the challenge is trying to think about what are these characters going to be that's like a little different than what we've already all seen, you know?
Yeah.
So what are their voices? What are their like? What are they into? What are their like style? So I think all that kind of comes together as you're kind of working on a book that's just got like a lot of characters in it versus some that are just two characters. I think that's the thing that's kind of funny about my work, especially lately, and I've tried to kind of vary it up. I mean, if you look at like the books I've worked on recently, it's kind of all over the map, unfortunately, in a way that's like hard to pin down a style. Um, but that's what I love, and when we were together recently going to the banana adventure, kind of talked about that like style and consistency versus like just kind of exploring what's the style for this book and these
Yeah.
characters. Um,
Do you like thinking about, wait, how many books have you done total now? It's over 80, right?
like actually, this monster book was the 80th one that's
80th.
actually out. I'm currently working on about 6 books right now that are either in the works or finishing up or at
So
some.
I'm wondering, just thinking about the evolution, like looking back at your first book and then looking at what you're doing now. Not only is there probably some sort of evolution of some sort, but I'm wondering, do you think that like uh, stylistically, do you look at them as being like years, or not years, but vastly apart, or do they feel like that they're cousins? Like, do they feel like distant cousins, or do they feel like cousins each book? I guess is a better way to ask that.
Yeah, no, that's a good. Like these two, I mean, I think this style of book is probably my natural like way of just illustrating. Oops, sorry. And then I think there's also the new one, like the Phil and Lil book, is more of where's that? I don't know, I have it in here somewhere. But yeah, like the Phil and Lil book, that's a little bit more like retro kind of style.
Yeah.
And then recently doing like these the little golden ones, it's like much more realistic, which this was a much harder kind of style to get into. But it was a great challenge because I wanted to do these like heroes, so trying to do something that's like a little bit more whimsical but a little bit more realistic. So I think there's kind of three ways of illustrating. I think a lot of my gallery work is kind of like like heavy dark lines and just kind of messy colors. I think that's kind of what the Phil and Lil, the Just Try It books have been like.
Just
So
so
yeah,
like,
the monster books. I do think just growing up with like Where's Waldo, I think I tended to just love stories where you could just explore tons of characters and backstories and
yeah,
sub stories. So I think that's right. I often tend to. That's the challenge I think for me is like finding that balance of like. Publisher will come to me and say, we want it like this, we want lots of characters, we want lots of, just trying to find the balance of that, especially with like this book versus the first one. Just kind of, there was a lot of heavy pages with like lots of characters, which I loved. But there was also just a lot of storytelling elements that we just needed to kind of keep the story going. So I think I'm always still trying to figure out, what's the balance of like too much versus like really fun for kids to explore. And that's the thing I often hear, kids or parents say like we just love on the second, third read that they're still finding some new fun character that like
Yep.
we didn't realize was doing something in the background. So I guess for me, that's where I still tend to be like, I love that same thing when I was a kid, just like, like you'd mentioned the, Richard Scarry and just like all these little fun little characters that were kind of doing things in the background, that later you could go back and search for them. And
It's
um,
that I forget who it was. Someone mentioned to me at some point the idea. Do you mind real quickly? Do you mind shifting your camera? I think it may have shifted
oh,
off off the stage a little bit, so we see a lot of supplies, which is fine, but
oh,
shift back. But someone mentioned to me at some point the idea of letting your audience have an insight, so they know before the characters in the book know. And so, it's the equivalent of like if you have a murder mystery that your audience knows who the murderer is before the detective does, kind of situation. That's a very rewarding thing for kids to feel like they've somehow they are ahead of the curve. And so that
yeah,
idea of having a book that has so many hidden things in it that allows them to feel like they've discovered.
yeah,
I think it's such a good thing. I always try to hide little things in my book, not to any excessive amount, but like little tiny things that either I can share as stories on the road kind of situation, like out at schools,
uh,
or things like, oh, there's one of these on every page kind of situation.
yeah,
Wondering, especially with a book that has so many characters in it, when I sketch, I try to put out enough information, but not get too detailed to the point wherein they can nitpick over, and meaning like a publisher can sit there and go, well, we want you to move that little mouse that's in the background because we don't like the look on it, or whatever it may be. I'm wondering, to what level do you sketch when you have so many characters? Does that get, like, do you sort of wing some of that as you're doing the final art? Or is everything laid out to a point wherein there's no question what characters are doing or what expression they have, or like how
yeah.
detailed are you is basically the question.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty detailed. Like it's mostly like this. They all, everything's kind of like inked in. And just for my own like the style when I go over it, I'm not very good at like then painting over like really rough pencil drawings.
Okay.
So I like kind of paint under a ghosted back inked really heavy, so I see exactly where they need to be. Almost like just kind of filling in the lines,
Yeah.
and then turning that off and kind of adding the details and painting. Um, but just kind of getting those rough shapes really well. So for me, I think it is like you were saying, when there's so many characters, I want them to like know this is what they're going to be doing. Now, some of it'll shift, of course. Also, I'll be like, oh, that character,
Got
is a
way.
little bit too busy next to this one, or they're competing. Just once you start to get to color, it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
there's just too much going on. Um,
But you don't
but
do, so you don't do color sketches of any sort, right?
no, it's all just like inked. It looks just like this, but without color.
Okay. I
But
always
yeah,
I always get worried when someone says they do colored proofs or colored sketches, just because it locks you to a point. Or I guess, just in general, I worry about the idea of saying too much and then expectations are set.
yeah,
And, some publishers really need that and some publishers don't. And
yeah,
then depending on the medium, or, like color correction is probably a little bit easier if it's a digital piece. It's still not easy, but it's probably a little bit easier just because you may have, it on a separate layer. As you,
yeah,
so select things and get stuff sort of squared up. But it's one of those ones where, like, if it gets too complex, like even the equivalent of the book that I just finished, doing the artwork for and stuff off, there was a lot of things happening on pages, and it was very rough in the sketch. But I also told them ahead of time, hey, I have to wing some of this because of the method in which I make. And so, knowing that you are a fast worker, I mean, you are pretty darn fast, right? If you can get
I could be faster.
how
Trying
long?
to get trying to do as many books as I do every year. It's like I'm always trying to streamline it. I think the new little golden books have been a big challenge for me to figure out the timing because it is so different. Just trying to be realistic and finding really good reference, but not just being photorealistic, but like still trying to make it like photorealistic, but still whimsical and kind of in my own style.
Yeah.
So that one, I think that takes me a lot longer than just like monsters, which I could just, they're fun shapes. I could just draw those so super quickly.
Is there
Uh,
I don't want to say that every book is standard, but is there a time frame that generally most of your books take? Like, are you someone who gets the work done in like a book done in a month, in 5 months, in is there
yeah, I mean, usually like probably like 2 to 3 months realistically. And again, that's kind of bouncing around different things. Um, and that, the like sketching and all that, the concept stuff goes really fast. I feel like that's probably the thing I'm strongest at is just coming up with the concepts and laying it all out, just story building, world
yeah,
building. That's the part I think. But then when it gets into the details, sometimes I'm like, because there is so many characters, I just have to. And that's the thing. I'm actually just working on another little golden book right now, and we've kind of had to deal with that challenge of like pacing. I'll go out and think, okay, this is how long this should take, and it ends up taking so much longer. So I'm like, oh, there's just so many. I'm a kind of a perfectionist. So once it gets in there, I'm like, I just didn't like that. That proportion's off or that. Um, and so in that aspect, I think I'm still learning just with depending on the styles, like how long do these like realistic books take versus a whimsical one that I know I could kind of knock out
yeah.
pretty quickly in,
When you
2 months.
have to make it look like someone specific, or
Yeah.
yeah, those are the ones that are going to take a long
Yeah.
long amount of time. It's one of those things, like even with the 2 or 3 months to knock them out, I still know that, like, that is well, it's interesting. There are some people that can work super fast. Like, I've done a book in a matter of a month or two, but I've also done books a lot longer than that. It really just depends on the project. And so hearing that idea of, like, in your case, that it really just there is no consistent, like, hey, I only need this long every single time.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense. You, is there a preferred rate that you would like to work in general? Like, if you, I mean, everybody probably wants a long time to work on it, but would you rather have them be fast just so you can move them out the door, or would you?
I think, when it just comes down to it, like, just how many books I, can, and I mean, like when I first started, I was doing, 8 books a year, almost 10, it was insane. I just was not even sleeping or taking good care of myself. So I think now I've kind of figured out like being able to do like 4 to 6 books a year is pretty like manageable.
Yeah.
Now again, shifting into these new like little golden book kind of realistic ones, that's been a learning curve of like, okay, those take a little longer. So but I just love doing them. I feel like it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to, shift into a whole different style like that. But I don't know. I just like that challenge because I think there's parts of these books I could just, I love that style. But it was fun to kind of change things up at this point in my career to be like, what's a little bit of a variation, still like recognizable as like my style, but
Yeah.
something just a little bit different. And then, I biographies are like, I'll sit and while I'm working, I just sit and listen to biographies all day, I love people's stories, even just like hearing from other artists. I like just love hearing, just how people got to where they were, hard situations they got through or got over, just kind of learning from listening.
Yeah.
The Jim Henson biography is like one I just have on repeat all the time. But just any biography I just enjoy. So going back, that's kind of why I feel like the Little Golden Book, I just love being able to like do the research and figure out, just and so for that I do a lot of research to try to find photos and do pictures that aren't maybe out there, and then kind of create a new image that's like not just photo, just draw the photo. If they want to do a photo, you just get the photo and put a bunch of photos in there. So
You don't want
yeah,
to go on Google and find the first your image
yeah.
are slightly altered, or
Yeah, it's just, and again, that's an art form too. Like render a photo in like, you know, photo quality illustration. I still have huge respect for that. I was just saying for me, it was like I like to then feel like I kind of put something new out there that's like, oh, I haven't
Yeah.
seen that look of, you know, like the Spielberg. There was a lot of things I kind of took some freedoms on, like, you know, what he might have been looking like on the set of Jaws or on E.T., but you know, or a different pose for E.T. But I don't know, stuff like that. I enjoy that challenge of it. But
Yeah.
again, I didn't, you know. How
The
about for you? Like, what do you, when you're working on a book? I mean, your style is just, you know, I have such respect for the like layers and the like time that it takes. How do you pace that out per year and also still be full-time
it
teacher?
it depends. It really depends on the book. I mean, generally, I mean, it's the same thing that you said. Like, I feel like I can knock out a dummy um, for, or like at least thumbs for a book in a matter of, you know, maybe it's going to sound crazy probably to some people, but maybe a week. Um, you know, it's not, I don't think that's the hard part for me. I think the hard part is really the um, trying to figure out uh, sort of how to make the production smooth. And in the sense that like um, every book has its nuance that has to be dealt with, where whether it be like, you know, maintaining character on model kind of situation, whether it be some textural thing. Like the most recent book for me, the hardest thing was honestly sort of having to, because it was, the sketch was very, very rough. It was not super refined. And I haven't gotten notes back yet from them on the final route. They said they liked it, but you know, it's doing the round, so I don't know if I'm gonna have to do lots of changes. But because it was a little bit more free, sometimes it was easy to make work, but it also led to a lot of like, I set some standard um, in one of the pages that I have to maintain in a later page. You know, maybe just like
Hmm.
I'm sure this rings true to you too. Like you go and you put some, you know, color down. You're like, oh, this looks beautiful on this page, and then you go and hit the next page and you go, that color clashes with something that's, you know, on the next spread or whatever it may be. And so there's a
Yeah.
lot of figuring stuff out on the fly that adds time to that method. But the books I've done prior, I would definitely was like way more detailed in my sketches, and so it was a little bit easier. I knew kind of going in what I had to do, and so it does take time. But I do think that the reward in not knowing exactly where I'm going is well worth the risk.
Hmm.
If that makes any sense? Uh,
Yeah.
do you when you're working on something that is especially like pre-existing, like working on the Moby Shinobi series, or working on something that is um, you know, has a established design aesthetic, do you ever have challenges of trying to like, you want to change it up in the middle of it and you have to fight the urge, or is it?
Yeah. No, that I mean that's a good question. Like with the Moby Shinobi ones, that was a challenge because like as an easy reader, there's pretty heavy like painted scenes, you know, versus like had I done Moby Shinobi again, and we kind of had thought about doing like a graphic novel or kind of a different version of it.
Yeah.
Um, and it was more like, you know, heavy lines, kind of like a little bit more cartoony, a little more graphic novel style.
Okay.
Just what it did, you know, especially when we went into the like the chapter book series of the Moby Shinobis, like there was a lot of still like 64 pages of pretty heavy, detailed, painted scenes. But again, that was one of the things a lot of people said they enjoyed about that series was that it was different than like the style was something that kind of stood out as a little bit more like a actual, you know, a picture book as an easy reader. Not that that was revolutionary in any way. There's tons of them, but just for the Moby Store, I'm glad that we did go that route because I think it helped it stand out.
Yeah.
Um, and it was pretty early in my career, so it was helpful for me to kind of like establish that style and kind of some techniques that I was using that went on to be in a lot of the other books. So um, in that aspect of it, I'm glad that we landed on the style that we did because I think that was again it really I mean like a lot of illustrators that were starting out like I was struggling with like consistency of character like
Yep. Yep.
looking the same from, you know, so doing 5 books and then 3 more, like really getting him down understanding character style. And so I think that kind of thing was really helpful.
Especially when you're young too. The idea of you're growing, like it's like a little kid. Like you learn so much faster when you're a little kid because you can intake more information, and you have your brain is set up to sort of grow at a faster rate than it ever will when you're older. Even though you may learn more when you're old, you're not going to learn it at the rate that you do as a kid.
Exactly.
Art, like aesthetically, you are going through such a fast change of who you are, and sort of finding yourself in that process, that I'm sure that the change and the pace at which your sort of aesthetic changes is that much more than what it would be, 5 years down the line or what have you. Now, one of the things I was wondering about a little bit with some of the books, like the golden books. How many pages are the golden books? Like I have golden books here, but I feel like I also feel like production wise they used to be shorter. Like back in the
Yeah.
70s and stuff. But I don't know. I can't.
No, they're always like 24. That's kind of like the standard for them.
24 meaning like 24 interior, or meaning 24 total?
Yeah, like 24 pages is kind of the, like, that's how they've always kind of been. That's like the signature length of them.
I just, for some reason, in my mind, they were like, at some point it was like 8 spreads and done. But I think I may be like thinking a different book that was akin to, because there were like imitators or other companies that were doing things similar to Golden Book, and people sometimes link them to the same same company, which may be the case here. And then one of the things I was wondering as well for you, like you do have such a depth of knowledge when it comes to sort of I don't know if it's just 80s culture or like childhood culture from when you were younger, in the sense of like, the shows that you do at Gallery 1988, why can't I think of the name of it? Rainbow.
The Raised by Rainbows. Yeah.
Raised by Rainbows. Thank you.
Yeah.
That I'm wondering, is there any sort of IP or thing that you've always wanted to work on that you haven't already? Because you've worked on a lot of the Mr. Rogers and Henson stuff and whatnot. Is there something that you're like, oh man, I wish like Transformers would come calling, or whatever that thing is for you? Is there something?
Yeah. Oh gosh. I don't know. I felt like really grateful that I've gotten to work on so many of the childhood favorites. Just mostly like the Muppets, and I mean, again, monsters would be. I don't
Are you there? Am I? Hold on a second. Luke, I think we lost sound there for a second.
Hello?
Oh,
Still
I
there?
can hear you now.
Oh, okay, weird. Yeah, I think like doing some sort of adaptation of like some of the Tim Burton, materials would be fun to do, like a picture book version of some of those. Recently they did like little golden book versions of some of them, and they're just amazing. So I also see some come out and I'm like, I wish I could have done it, but also like the person that did it is just amazing.
You don't want to steal food out of their mouth.
Yeah. Like this Frankenweenie one. Like this is the kind of stuff I just love seeing, that like they're still doing it. But like Holly, who did that funny like puppet, that big yellow guy in the back, and she's done some of the work with me on like the Raised by Rainbow shows. But yeah, Holly's like just perfect for it. But yeah, so I see stuff like that and I'm like, oh, I would love to do it, but I also love when I see the ways that people have done it, like the Nightmare Before Christmas one, the Haunted Mansion little golden book that Glenn Brogan did, another one of my absolute favorites. But again, like I would have loved to have done it, but or like they just came out with a new Muppet movie adaptation, and I was like, oh, that would have been so fun to do. But again, just love that it even exists out there, and that like we're getting some new material from the Muppets, and so yeah,
I
that
see.
kind of stuff.
I
Nice.
see the comments here. There's a couple things. One, I don't know if you know these folks, but Retro Spectrum says, "Hey Luke," and
Oh
then
yeah.
it says Luke needs to draw some Silverhawks, which I was going to reference a second ago when I was talking about like, are there things IPs that you would want, and like Silverhawks is a core thing from my childhood that I feel like not a lot of people know. Um,
No, and I'll be honest, like I didn't know them until much later in life. Like I didn't grow up getting to watch those as much. Again,
yeah,
like I think I was much more into, things like Fraggle Rock and like gummy berries and stuff like that. Like a little bit more whimsical and less of the, like I mean, I enjoyed like G.I. Joe and like Brave Star and stuff like that. But
yeah.
I think I was more on the like whimsical side, less on the like adventure. Except for Mask, I think Mask was the one that I just absolutely loved. But again,
What does MASK stand for?
I actually can't think of it right now.
Oh no, Mobile Airstrike Command.
Oh gosh, yeah, you're right.
Command spelled with a K, of course. Uh,
Okay.
that was my. I used to have those toys, and I like those almost better than I like GI Joe.
Yeah, I mean, we still have so many of them. Like, they're just amazing. I just love the like that you could have like two characters going on there, like the mask character, and then, but also just the It was like Transformers with a little bit more imagination
Yes,
as
yeah.
far as the world.
There was some. My take on it was it was a mixture of Transformers and GI Joe, so it split like two really good uh, interpretations or two really good sort of IPs. The other one that I don't know if you would know this one. Some people may not know this, but Jake and the Wheeled Warriors.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Probably before your time. My guess is you were like 1 or 2 when it came out. Because I barely remember it, but it was my brother and I loved it. And it was a weird 80s, like the bad guys had technology and the good guys, or maybe it was the other way around, and the other side had like rocks and vines that their cars were made out of. It was weird. But I also see Michael Slack Art is on here and says, "Hey Luke, any plans
Oh,
for a show using your puppet characters and skills?"
I would love to. I mean, actually, I was just out in Minnesota hanging out with Matt Koffenberg, who's a longtime good friend of mine. But we've been dreaming of doing something like that. I don't know. It's hard we don't live in the same area. If I lived in Minnesota with him, we'd probably be working on it every day, not getting any work done. But
Yeah.
yeah, Matt got me cooking on some new ideas of. We'd love to do something that's like, got some stop motion in it. I think stop motion is another thing that I just absolutely. If I wasn't an illustrator, I'd love to be a stop motion artist. But
Did you see Dan Santat's most recent posts that he was showing that he's working on a book and he's doing like it's not puppets but it's 3-dimensional like felt
oh
character
yeah, yeah,
stuff. I was like there's an opportunity there to do a book that is not actually moving but still has some of the like
yeah.
but now wait, you said that you send your puppets out to other folks to make, or do you make any of them yourselves?
No, I wish I did. I'm not the best at the
Sewing?
sewing.
Yeah, gotcha.
And plus, like I said, there's just so many uh, amazing puppet builders that I've worked with. Like the guys at Swazzle did the monster one for me, and they've done amazing stuff. They've done like I don't know if you have that Jim Carrey show, Kidding, that
Oh yeah, yep,
where he
yep,
plays that kind of rough Mr. Rogers.
yep.
But they did all the puppets for that show, and they've done like for Crank Yankers, they've done a bunch of stuff for Crank Yankers, so they're super talented. They did the monster one for me and the mermaid one. But recently I've been working with Uzzy Works. If anybody's looking for puppets to get built or just fun puppets, he has tons of them that are just custom made characters on his site. But he did the little cat one I just got for the farm one.
Yeah.
He just did this little guy here. So for the farm book, and he's working on actually a clown puppet to go with these. We were hoping to have out when the book came out, but we were kind of running behind schedule with his busy schedule. So that will be coming soon, which is just in time for some book tours. But
How much? How
yeah,
much?
and oh,
Uh, don't give me a number, but give me a metaphor for how much money you've put into puppets.
let's just say they were well worth it. I mean, the promo and the way it helps with sales, I always feel like it's worth it. Plus, I get to pretend that I'm a real puppet boy.
Do you write them off on taxes?
Well, of course.
I imagine like if you go to a tax person and they go like, if you declare and you're like,
Puppets. Uh,
uh,
you spent a lot on books and puppets again this year. I'm like, well, it is my job, so.
do you feel guilty doing that? Because I still feel guilty doing it every time, but I know that I can do it. Like it's part of
Oh yeah, no, I don't feel
how
guilty.
I work, but it's still like,
I see the way our government uses their money.
yeah, yeah. There's a certain you feel guilty until,
Yeah,
and then you can go, I can get away with it.
yeah.
Is there the thinking about the idea of sort of the industry that you're in is so I mean there is like a relationship, not necessarily that like puppets and illustration are like simpatico. It's not like they're always working together, but the idea of storytelling through character is a huge sort of there's a connection or a thought process there about those things being um, important. And I'm
Hmm.
wondering, is there a sense when you sort of work on these projects now that before you even start the project, do you have some sense of like, oh, this one's going to be a puppet, or this puppet idea could turn into a book, or like how much crossover or how much what do they call it, synergy?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Yeah, I mean, because it does all just like that's not like the publishers buy them, so it's all kind of on my own budget. And oftentimes it's like I just know like that'll be a good character for doing promo videos, or I'll be going on a book tour for it, so I know that there'll be a lot of like yeah, just a lot of interaction with like at local events or stuff. Some books, I don't get a tour as much with, just because the publisher doesn't send us out or
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So when I know that like they've talked about doing more book tour stuff, then that's where I kind of make that call to like get the puppet made. And also there's just certain puppets that are like I'm like that just makes a lot of sense. Like the film Little Ones, with Phil Rosenthal and Lily Rosenthal. Obviously, it would be weird to make a puppet of Phil. He actually has a puppet of him, which is awesome. But so for those, I just found generic food puppets to kind of because it was about just try just different kinds of food.
Yep.
Um, and so like this next one, there's like some broccoli in it. So I'm just getting like a generic thing of
Rock.
broccoli. He's just
Yeah.
one of the characters in the book is knocking on broccoli. But so stuff like that, I'll still like just try to find a fun puppet that can work for some fun videos, but not so much character based. It's just more theme based. But yeah, like with the Forever Friends Farm, that one that the cat was for that the Ozzy Work team made for me. That one, I knew that like we actually wanted to do more because they kind of want to turn that into a puppet show. So that one we're kind of thinking about creating a couple other characters for it down the line. But again, it's such a fun character base. Like growing up on a farm, I just have an affinity for farms, and it was just fun to kind of have a little cat character. I thought the cat character was really fun, and he was kind of an iconic one for the first book in that series. So that's often what kind of inspires which ones I turn into puppets or have made into puppets.
I forgot that you grew up on a farm. I know you mentioned that at some point, and I was it a big farm that you grew up on? Because you're out in where a farm can be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of acres, or was it like a little working farm, or what? When you say
Yeah,
farm, what's that?
so we live next to like two like summer camps, and so our ranch provides all the horses for them in the summer for like horse rides.
Okay,
So it was like we had cows, and then they also came down to like have like a kind of petting zoo and do rodeos down at the ranch. So we would have enough horses to do like a little rodeo and rides and trail rides, and so
yeah,
it was kind of like I wouldn't say a dude ranch in any way, because we didn't have people staying there, but it was had that energy. But for us, it was just like a working farm, because we still had to bring in like the hay and drive tractors and all that kind of stuff.
It wasn't a dude ranch because there were no dudes there.
There's no dudes.
Yeah. Were you? Wait, did you watch Hey Dude?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was nothing like that. We weren't that cool.
I'm trying. What's Ben Stiller's wife, or I don't know if he's still with that. The one that was in. She was Marsha Brady in the Brady Bunch movies. Was on Hey Dude back in the day.
Oh yeah.
I remember when she was in the movies, I was like, "Hey, that's that lady from Hey Dude."
Yeah, that's funny.
So do you still? I mean, I know that you're out in Colorado, but do you still have access to lots of critters and things of the sort, or
Um,
are you in the suburbs now?
in the suburbs, we are in the suburbs, but we still go back to it's up in Buena, so we still go. Oh, Freddy Krueger and a banjo. This will be interesting. Um, who came up with this silly game? Yes, we still go back up there. My dad, my parents don't run the ranch anymore. My brother ran it for a little while, but then now they just outsource the horses to another farm in the area. So
I forgot that
yeah,
you have a jar that you're pulling from. So all of a sudden you said, "Oh, Freddy Krueger and a banjo." I was like,
Run the banjo.
"Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me." But now I get it. That's there is a connection to be made there.
Yeah.
I'm always like, I have said many a times that I would love to have a farm. However, I also know that I would not do well with a farm. If that makes any sense. Like, I love the idea of raising animals and things of the sort, but I just the hours that would go into that, the getting up in the middle of the night or early morning to feed horses and things of the sort is not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Life. I need less things to do. And then with growing up in that kind of environment, I'm wondering, and I may have asked you this on the first time that you were on, but just thinking about sort of the going into art and the expectations or the pressure and the things that sort of came from that. I'm wondering, were there challenges family wise that you had to contend with to deal with sort of the what do I want to say? The aspect of going into something that sometimes people think of as being frivolous, or not as not that I agree with them of any sort when they say this, but the idea of like art sometimes is a very like about the self situation. You're coming from an industry or not an industry, but a world where like taking care of animals and nurturing things is a big deal. And I'm wondering, was that a challenge for family to sort of deal?
Yeah, not really. I mean, I felt like my parents were really supportive. I think looking back, I'm really surprised, like you said, that they were more like on board with it, just because it did feel like such a world away to be like, oh, okay, so you're gonna be an artist. But I don't know, they just never really questioned it. I think, just were really supportive, and I believed that I could do it. I think I had such big confidence that I could make it, in some aspect. I think they just saw that I just loved so much about creativity and storytelling, that it was, and I think I was kind of a driven little guy that was found and determined to make it happen.
Like you were a driven little guy. I like those.
Yeah, like, okay, calm down, kiddo. Get your chores done. Oops.
I was a wee little squirt of a kid, and
Yeah.
something about that terminology is funny to me. And so, you grow up, you become this this star of kidlit.
I don't know about that.
What?
That's generous again. You're so generous. I appreciate that.
Okay. Here's the thing. You've done 80 books, more to come. Uh, you are not you're not a slouch in this industry. Let's put it that way. Uh, whether you're
A
whether,
driven little guy, you might say.
yes, yes, yes. Um, and I'm wondering the idea of, you mentioned the because okay, let me back up. I'm sort of stumbling over my words. Again, you're coming from a world wherein, like growing up, where those hours, like you just don't have freedom to do everything. You have to work and care for animals and do these things. And now uh, you've done so many books and you've done all this work to sort of become who you are as an artist. And I'm wondering, is there a point where like you start to look and go, oh man, I want to like slow down, or like I'm going through this debate myself. Uh,
Yeah.
at what point do you go, hey, I want to think about like I wish I didn't have to do like run circles around things in order to get stuff done.
Yeah.
Uh, 80 books is like, is there a number you're like, once I hit 120,
Yeah.
I, I'm gonna finally retire and slow down, and then I'll do, instead of 4 a year, I'll do 1 a year. Or
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I definitely think there's parts of that. And like, I often tell my wife, like, I feel like I'm really grateful for the amount of books and the, teams and themes that I've gotten to work on. So, I mean, at this point, it's like, I'm just excited about what is still possible, like I said, I
yeah,
think that given, an opportunity, if somebody's like, hey, we'd like you to be the lead on a cartoon series or, stop motion films or something like that, of course I would jump at that kind of opportunity. Um, I would still like to do a lot more writing. I feel like there's a lot of stories I still have in mind to write. I feel like I've been really busy doing a lot of illustrating for other people and their stories, which has been really fun. But I do also feel like I spend a lot of times doing that.
yeah.
So if that ever that pace kind of slowed up, I think I've got a lot of stories I'd like to kind of tell in that realm. So more writing would be one thing. Um,
I mean, I'm at a point where like I just wrapped up a book and I don't have anything else on my plate right now. And of course, something will come down. I mean, I do have stuff on my plate, but not another book currently. And so it's one of those things where like I start to think like, okay, well, now it's time to turn my attention to the baby, the thing that's been on the back burner.
yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
the precious stories that I've wanted to get out there, and I have something that I've worked on, but I need to sit down and spend the time. But it's you need that moment or that freedom to stop and think in a world wherein there is this like, oh, well, I'm doing one book and I'm turning around and doing the next book and et cetera down the line. Um, do you schedule wise? Do you set yourself like you said like a certain amount of books per year, um, or that you're aiming? No, I shouldn't say you're aiming, but you always have something on your plate. Is there an ideal like schedule that you would like to keep in order to maintain that? Like I look at it and go, I'm less concerned about how many books and more concerned about how much time and where I can devote my time at the
Hmm.
moment. And that may or may not be a number that you know is set in stone from year to year. And I'm wondering about sort of that sort of like threshold for you in a sense.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, like budget obviously has a lot to do with it. You kind of know, uh, you know,
Yeah.
cost of living, that kind of thing
Yeah.
is a big factor. And then in the years when like maybe there's less books that come in, I tend to try to fill that in with like editorial work, like with highlights or gallery show work as well. Um, so yeah, I like always having a little bit of that, like some various, streams of income, but also just streams of creativity that if one was to start drying up, that you could kind of tap into that next one. So
How,
again, like you even like talk about like doing those shows or puppet thing. I think I've always got those things in the back of my mind just in case if like I did suddenly get a little pocket of time to do a show with like Matt or something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of, I think like we all do. We've got these kind of like little dream projects that are out there when time or opportunity comes
Comes a knocking.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are things that I would like to delve back into. Like I know I'm not good with oils, but actually painting again, like on big canvases, would
Mm-hmm.
to try. Now, luckily, I have the opportunity that like I can go teach a class that has some aspect of that. I can go like, oh, I want to go teach a class that's about painting again, and
Yeah.
pop up. But um, my wife asked, "What's your favorite scary movie?" in the comments.
Oh, good questions. That's hard. I mean, favorite scary movie. Obviously, like I think there's like the kid ones. I love. I mean, pretty much Tim Burton's. I mean, if it was in the Tim Burton categories, it'd probably be. I mean, obviously, Nightmare Before Christmas is the all-time, but after that, like Corpse Bride, we just watched Corpse Bride again the other night, and I was like, this is such an equally fun. Like the music in it, like the characters are really fun. I grew up like Frankenweenie was one of the first Tim Burton movies that I ever saw because my dad brought home a VHS tape of it from our little tiny town, video cassette store.
Yeah,
I was so surprised because my dad, like being a rancher, I would not think that Frankenweenie was the one that. But I think he knew. That's the thing I love about it. I think my dad knew. He's like, well, I think Luke would enjoy this kind of silly monster thing. And so I think for me that was like the first introduction. Then I was like, oh, and then Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse and just all those wacky characters that came out of that. But yeah, I think like that was some of the early, love of monsters. But then just growing up with Universal Monsters, the old black and whites that like you'd watch at your grandparents' house because those ones they had on VHS. But yeah, I mean newer ones. I think anything that Guillermo del Toro has done, I think is probably my new favorite stuff. I loved the series on Netflix, The Cabinet of Curiosities. I thought that was just super creative and a fun way to tell like stories that are just, they weren't like super creepy, but they were just creepy enough. Because I don't really love like gore type movies where like
yeah,
Saw. I mean, no offense to people that love Saw, but that's just not as much my cup of tea versus like a little bit more art house kind of stuff. Like I was saying, like Long Legs. I really like Long Legs. Excited to watch Weapons on tomorrow night. I haven't seen that one yet, so I've been holding out to watch that one for Halloween.
I'm trying to think, like, are there other ones that um are like favorites that people want? Like, I mean, obviously, like some of the what's his name, Jordan Peele.
Oh yeah,
Good.
yeah. I love Nope. Nope was a really cool one.
Yeah, yeah.
And Us. Yeah, Us was a fun
Uh,
one.
but there's like I'm trying to think if there was like little kid ones. Like there's a difference between what I grew up with as a little kid thinking was scary.
Yeah.
There was this movie, and I don't know if my wife can look it up, that I grew up with and I watched a lot and it scared me to death all the time. It was a movie that was very, very like jarring, and I watched a trailer for it. I can't remember the name of it, and I'll describe it. Maybe someone out there knows, but um, that I saw many, many times and scared every time, but still went back and watched it. And it was about someone collecting a mummy for like some science facility, and there were these little like jewels or like pyramids of stone or something that were taken from it, and it went
Uh-huh.
up and then like hunted people down. And it was from like the early 80s, maybe late 70s, early 80s. And I remember it was like scared me to death as a little kid. It's like to watch it. And I'm someone who doesn't like that kind of movie. And so like it was very strange. But the one that I was going to say that I like movies that are like really tense,
Uh-huh.
more so than scary.
Yeah.
So movies that are, I'm trying to think of, there was one I just had a second ago in my head that was in that same like ballpark. It wasn't a jump scare movie, but it was a movie that sort of left you in chills.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm drawing a blank on it now.
Huh.
Um,
I'm trying to think of like what some of those recent. Yeah, like I said, I don't watch as many of the like jump scare like horror ones as much as just
yeah,
like Crimson. Like I like that's what I like about the Guillermo del Toro ones. They're like just creepy enough because the characters are kind of creepy. Like Crimson Peak. You know, it's like it's just kind of an eerie ghost story, but it's still kind of beautiful and like artistic. Um, I don't know and but there's also like this vintage vibe to his work that I really appreciate.
Oh, I know the one that I really, really.
Okay, yeah.
It's not a current movie of any sort, but I think it's one of the best scary, tense movies ever. Is Rear Window.
Oh yes, that's one like my grandma loved watching like Hitchcock movies. Like she always had those ones. But yeah, Rear Window is one, and Lady Arsenic and Old Lace was another one. It's just got like old ladies keeping a dead body in their like
Mm,
little hutch, you know, kind of thing.
yeah,
But yeah, Rear Window is a good one as far as just like yeah, the sound, you know, was like just creepy enough and
like when
uh,
it's just a tense. That's the thing that scares me more is when stuff gets really tense and you know something's about to happen.
hmm
What and you don't know when.
yeah.
And
Which is
those,
what like, you know, Hitchcock was so great at too, you know, even though that's the funny thing, you go back and you watch them, it can be kind of a little bit campy, but there's still like just a beauty to the way they built it up and like and the payoffs, you know, I think
yeah,
that's what I'm about. Like
the
some
shot
horror movies is the payoff.
for anybody that's I don't want to ruin Rear Window for anybody, but there are some moments in it where you're just on edge because you're just waiting for the bad thing to happen
Yeah, exactly.
when it's coming. And is it a scary movie? Like that it's not blood and gore,
Yeah.
but oh, some of those moments are so good. Um,
I think one of my all-time favorite like Halloween movies, though, you've probably seen it, is the Mad Monster Party, the like stop motion that Rankin Bass did.
I've we've seen it apparently. I don't remember it.
Oh, it's so fun.
I need to go
It's
back.
one of those ones like if I could have made it, that's one of those projects that you're like, if I could make one that I don't know if there's a more perfect like combination of art things that I love, like monsters, stop motion,
Yeah,
like just that era of like storytelling. I don't know. I just I watch it every year, and it's just like my absolute favorite. You know, and it's got Boris Karloff, who's my favorite Universal monster character. He's like the voice of the guy, the main doctor.
yeah.
Oh, it's just so much fun. I'm sure people watching will probably have some appreciations for different.
Now, now the scary movies to me are things that are like anything that involves kids getting hurt,
Yeah,
or animals. Like I don't want to see those of any sort.
yeah,
Um, but there's too many scary things in real life.
yeah, exactly.
My wife says maybe a 1971. This is the mummy thing. I'd have to look it up. Saying blood from the mummy's tomb, and I don't think that. But I'd have to watch. It's a weird old movie that I remember just haunted me. Like
Huh.
the other one that got me, and I remember this vividly when I must have been like 3 or something like that. It was around the time that E.T. had come out, maybe
Uh-huh.
thereafter, and it wasn't. It must have E.T. must have really scared me as a kid, uh, but my mother was and still is a very cleanly person. And so every night she would wash our clothes and hang them on hangers and hang them on our doorknob or somewhere near our room. And somehow we had a ET T-shirt that had some sort of like the equivalent of a uh, silk screen, image on the front, but it was shiny. And I still remember to this day waking up in the middle of the night and looking at my door to my room, and there was ET standing in my doorway. The light was just like, and I remember horrified. Um, and so I assumed that I must have really had a problem with the movie in general.
Yeah, I
But
mean that's the funny thing about ET is like so many people just absolutely love it. I'm one that like loves it, and some people like that was so creepy.
oh, I love it now, but it's I must have had some reaction to it at the time or something of the sort. I also was, and do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have an older brother and a younger brother.
So I don't know if it was the same for you, but because my brother was older, I probably watched a lot of things that were inappropriate for a little kid. My brother was older, I got to see them, and got introduced to some pretty nonsensical things that should not have been in my purview.
Oh, totally. Although, I mean, we kind of grew up. I mean, in the '80s, we grew up. My family was pretty conservative, so growing up, I didn't get to watch a lot of those like really scary movies, that everybody was like watching, like, that now are like kind of just iconic characters like Freddy Krueger or,
Yep. Yep.
Jason or, any of those, Halloween even, like, Mike Myers. Like, I didn't get to watch any of those as a kid. I wasn't until like college that I got to enjoy them, but it was like not the same creepiness because at the time they were super creepy for what they were.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, I've never been into like too much of the gore, but now you go back, there's like it's not as gory as some of these new gory ones that are a little bit too much to watch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
There's a level that
yeah,
now, admittedly, my wife and I do love the Final Destination movies, which
yeah,
are gory, but we also like them because they're so funny. They're like campy funny.
yeah, exactly.
You're waiting for the gore, and you know it's coming. And it's sort of just, how are they going to do it this time?
Yeah,
And so, like, there's some level there that becomes really fun to. You're almost rooting for it in that case. But
yeah.
yeah, the Saw movies, no interest. There is a character in the Saw movies named Mark Hoffman.
Oh,
That
that's true.
Yeah, I've never seen, or maybe I've seen clips of him, but I've never seen that character. I don't remember. He's like a policeman at some point, and then like takes over the bad guy part. I don't remember. Um, but yeah, there's some of that I don't really like care for. Um, let's see. I'm just looking to see if my wife got the name of that movie. She might not have. So thinking about the book or books that you've been working on, is there any sort of secrets that you can tell us about upcoming books? Are there any ones that are around the bend that are coming out soon that like we can get a little not sneak peek? I don't need to see everything
Yeah, no.
of what's coming out because you always have so much like on your plate all the time, and I always feel like I'm behind. Like you share something, and I'm like, oh man, I didn't even know that you were working on that.
Yeah, no. The one I was speaking of monsters, getting to do one with Sue Blythe is it's like a monster like Rockabye Baby kind of board books, but based on like a monster's like Rockabye Monster.
Mm.
Um, so it's gonna be fun. I like I haven't gotten to do like board books in a while, so and being able to do kind of like baby monsters is gonna be fun because I like the idea of like taking you know. I usually get like these ones, like they're grown up or teenage monsters, but yeah, I like the cutifying the little monsters is gonna be a fun challenge.
Sort of what is scary to it, or what little monster is going to be scary
Yeah. And it's
compared.
like super clever kind of writing and little
Yeah.
scenarios, so I'm
Wait,
excited for that one.
this is someone else wrote it though, right?
Yeah, Sue
Okay.
Fleiss did. But yeah, so that's the next kind of one. Working on a few more with Phil and Lil with the Just Try It book series. That one comes out, and then we have like two more after that coming out. So that's gonna be a fun series to work on with them. They're just such funny writers, and it's just, I like working with both, Phil and Lil.
Yeah.
Um, they're
I,
just I like the idea of just like that they're kind of teaming together, father daughter. I'd always kind of wanted to do that with one of my daughters, but we never kind of made it come to fruition. So
wait a
I just
second. Wait a second. What do your kids do? I think I asked you this before, but I don't remember.
well, I mean, they're still like in school, but yeah, like when my middle daughter, she's really into art. She's a great artist. Um, so maybe one day we'd get to work on a book together. Um,
Is she illustration or is she something else?
she's a really good painter. I mean, but she's in a junior in high school, so
Oh, okay.
they're not doing these things for full-time work.
I thought for some reason I had in my mind that both or that your kids were all like out of college for some reason.
Yeah, my oldest son, he's about to graduate from college and he's about to get married, so he's going into advertising. So maybe he'll help me figure out how to
He'll
promote myself better than
than what you have. Yeah.
just hole up in the creative cave and work
Yeah.
non-stop hours.
Um. Apparently, in the background, my son is dropping stuff down the stairs, which he shouldn't be doing of any sort. I don't know if you. I don't know if
That's
you.
like I thought that was like a creepy thing happening in the background. I was like, Mark, watch out! They're coming for you.
Yeah, it's just a ping pong ball being dropped down the stairs. Let me ask you a little bit about the writing side, because you've written books, etc. And I'm wondering, obviously, like there's a difference between working on something that's yours and something that someone else wrote, and both of them are valuable and challenging in their own ways. But um, the writing thing is such a hard thing for a lot of artists or people that have um, gone through art school or what have you, and potentially haven't been trained in, and then all of a sudden you're in an environment where if you can write as well, that is a very good skill. um, and so did you have lots of background in writing? Was that something that you studied of any sort, or is that just it came to be because you got offered books of sorts?
Yeah, no, that's I think that was one with like the Moby Shinobi is one of those things where like I hadn't written any books, but they were, interested in having me write and illustrate. So that was kind of the first, like you just say yes and then figure it out.
Yeah.
So I think I learned a lot in that process of writing. Um, and again, great editors there. Katie Corello is just amazing to work with. I think I learned so much from her just about storytelling and editing down. I tend to be over wordy. So
Yeah.
she was really good at helping me kind of pare things down. But again, I grew up just writing and, writing songs. And so as a like songwriter, I felt like the rhyming aspect of storytelling was pretty easy. But then when I came to like work on like the Labyrinth book, that was kind of already done because I'd already done it as like a ABC poster. So we kind of had the idea, and it was just kind of then adapting how do we tell the story of Labyrinth in a alphabetical way. So that was the challenge to like then figure out how to kind of write it with the alphabet in mind, and that kind of controlled how that book came together. Um, but then like working on some of these other new ones that I'm working on for the Little Golden Book series, the one that I'm currently writing. Again, just a lot of research, but then that was like different, just kind of trying to figure out how to tell somebody's story. Um,
Yeah.
Again, but I just listened to so many biographies and just love the research aspect of how do you pare down somebody's life into a couple, especially with like Little Golden Book, because you just get 24 pages to kind of try to tell their story, so it's a really fun challenge. And again, just working with the editors there, Andrea was just absolutely amazing. She helped me so much. Again, just figuring out how to like write, for again a different kind of audience of 24 pages, real simple. Um, so I don't know. I don't know if I was again like stylistically wise, I feel like I'm again writing kind of all over the map with the way I write. If I was to say most comfortable writing would be just in writing and rhyme would be the preferred.
I mean, that relates back to that music. Then that's like
Yeah,
an idea of there's certain rhythm. Uh,
yeah.
the uh, the the writing thing. You said that you're wordy. I'm the one that the dream project for me right now. I said this to do you know who Jinro Fei is?
Uh-uh.
Jinro Fei is a agent at Andrea Brown Literary, and we had her on, and I told her how many words it was, and her immediate reaction was, "Oh, Mark." Uh, and it's right now it is technically over 4,000 words.
Woo!
Now
And
it's
for a picture book, or is it a graphic novel, or
well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like I don't think it's meant to be a picture book. I think it's meant to be something else, and I have
yeah,
to figure out what that thing is. And until I figure that out, right now it's sort of this ambiguous, like I don't know if it's a picture book, if it's some. I have to. There's some time I need to spend with it and sort of like
yeah,
hone it down. But that is an excessive number, and maybe it's the right number, but I have to figure out sort of
yeah.
is it the right type of book, I guess. But I'm in that same boat of I'm a little wordy, and well, that's a little wordy. That's a lot wordy. And I got to
No,
figure.
but you never know where it could go because, like, I mean, it could be like Wild Robot. It's like
Yeah.
and expand. It's like could be a little novel, or it could be a picture book or chapter book. I mean,
Well, it's also
what?
written in a way where it's sort of picture book esque, and so like my my rule of thumb right now is I'm trying to figure out, or rule of thumb, my modus operandi in it is I'm trying to figure out is there something between a picture book and a chapter book, and I don't know what that is, um, and maybe it's called something else, but at some point, um, uh, uh, hold on a second. Um, I'm just reading something in the background there. I'm wondering, with all the work that you do, like thinking about sort of the outside art, things that you do. Is there stuff that you find time to hobby besides the music side of things? Are there other things? I mean, you're in a lovely location in Colorado where the vista is beautiful. Or at least I think it is. Now I'm coming from New England. You might come up here and go, hey, we don't have as many trees and beautiful leaves and whatnot, but are you someone that gets outdoors and ventures?
Yeah, we definitely camp a lot, and that's kind of our family hobby is to get out. I mean, my wife and I, that's kind of how we first met, was just for love of the outdoors. And so we still camp quite a bit over the summers. Um, but yeah, mountain bike and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, you were just here, so you knew kind of the mountains they're a calling.
Yeah, I grew up in that area, and I did not remember until I was out there how close the mountains are.
Yeah,
Denver. I
yeah,
for like, miles and miles and miles, or hundreds of miles away. They're like right there.
yeah,
It's kind of ridiculous. Like I was so little that I probably had no concept of space.
yeah. That is
Uh,
the funny thing, right?
yeah. The We went out the day after we had brunch that day, and my wife, it was probably very boring for her and my son, in the old grocery store that we used to go to, which I know sounds like a really boring, dry thing potentially, but uh, it was a place where, like, as a little kid, I spent so much time. I showed them where I bought Garbage Pail Kid
Oh,
cards.
totally.
Yeah, there was a lot of old remembering happening in that time frame, and we went through the grocery store, and one of the things that surprised them, which I don't know as this makes any sense nowadays, but my brother and I, when I lived there, I was between 6 and I would say probably when I was about 8 years old, my brother was 11. We used to be able to go to the grocery store and buy dry ice.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Did you wait? You say that as if that's normal.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was just a Colorado thing. I mean, I assume it was everywhere. I don't know if it was just for camping that they had that as access to that so easily, but yeah.
Oh, I didn't know there was a reason. I thought it was just like a weird like thing that we got away with that we got dry ice. Why would you need dry ice for camping?
Just because it lasts a little longer.
Oh,
But I
okay.
don't know. You don't. I don't see it as much anymore. At least that I've seen.
The challenge is they sold it to like an 11-year-old,
Yeah.
which is probably the not the greatest thing in the world, but
No.
they did, and then we got our finger stuck to it, and like
Yeah. And
you
you
know,
can make dry ice bombs.
we'd put them in the mailbox for
Oh,
the
yes.
that was our go-to. Is that was the only reason to get it, was just to mess with people. Uh,
Yeah.
um, Now, you grew up. Did you grow up in Colorado, or was that? You said there was the farm, but was that in Colorado or was that elsewhere?
Yeah. Just a little mountain town, Buena Vista, which is
Oh yeah, yeah, okay.
kind of yeah, like 2 hours west of like Denver, or 2.5 hours, I guess. It's like 2 hours from Colorado Springs, but yeah,
You
I mean,
know,
it was a fun little town. But again, like I was saying, we grew up. It was just like it was such a tiny town when I grew up. Like you say, like going to like we had like a little Ben Franklin 5 and 10 where you'd go and just dream about all the like GI Joe guys or little toys you could get, baseball cards. I mean, it seems so simple now, but like that was before Walmart and stuff. Like we didn't have a Walmart in our town
Yep. Yep.
until like high school, So I know it felt like very Mayberry when I was growing up, which was fun. Looking back at the time, sometimes I was like we were kind of just bored, but we played a lot of sports, a lot of outdoor activities, just to
Wait,
keep
did you
things
grow up
interesting.
in the type of town where like people would go cruise the street on like
Yes,
Friday night?
just going out
Run back?
cruising, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Which is so funny to think about now. Like if my kids were like, "We're just gonna go drive downtown," I'd be like,
Hmm.
"For what?"
And just yeah, the same strip over and over again,
Yeah, just
and,
see
and
see
that's
who else is doing that same thing. Who else is just driving?
that's a. I feel like that's a sort of Midwest slash um, sort of Central and Rocky Mountain time
Yeah,
activity. Does not happen that much out here. Uh,
no. There's just lots more things to do. There's lots more culture out there. We didn't have much culture there.
there's culture, but it's not all good. Let's put it that way. It's there's some folks that are not the of the day around here. Let's map it out to that. So, um, and then uh, thinking about sort of going back towards sort of books and making. Is there a you know some people have a certain schedule that they keep, and I probably asked you this before again. I just to be honest, I don't have an idea of uh, with the amount of books that you work on, are you someone that's working nonstop every day? Is it something that you have like set studio hours? I mean, I'm assuming studio's at home at this point, but
Yeah, I'm just sitting in the studio here. This is kind of the little creative cave. Yeah, but I probably work a little too much, which we're trying to work on, moving into our late 40s. Um, yeah, but yeah, I mean, just to keep up with the pace of the books. I mean, I usually work a day shift, and then like just like most people, and then a little night shift at night too. Which again, um, as I'm getting older, it's like I don't know if it's as much just not wanting to do it as much, or I'd like to like start transitioning to like doing the night shift, just do fun stuff like this. I don't get to do this kind of fun stuff as much anymore because they're just to be able to get 4 to 6 books done a year. It takes a lot of extra time.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. I guess that's just kind of the pace of it is night shift
When
is
when you say night shift, what does night shift like? Are you up late or is it?
usually from like I mean it's gotten out of control if I'm honest. Like so it's usually like start again at like 9 and then work until like 1 or 2, depending on the. But now it's starting to just try to cut it back to like 9 to 12, so I can still get another like stuff I didn't get done during the day, illustration wise, and then yeah. So yeah,
Well,
but sometimes it's kind of tricky and it'll go all through the night, which is out of control. So that's the stuff I'm trying to work on.
I've gone through that. Every book that I work on, it gets to a point where you just don't have a choice, and you have to kind of do that to meet deadlines or whatever it may be. But
Hmm.
I've tried to eliminate weekends and crazy late nights. But there was a time where I was it was like you're in the mode and you're like I might as well just keep going, and all of a sudden it's like 3 in the morning.
Hmm.
Like why did I do this? Because
Yeah.
in my next day or what. But
Yeah.
it's always interesting to me to hear sort of people's perspective on when and how they work. And is there like a schedule that um, they have to maintain in order to be creative? Like I am not, I don't think I'm creative in the morning of any sort. I think I really struggle with being creative. And I'm the most creative time I have is when I'm like laying in bed and it's, you know, 3 in the morning kind of situation. I can't fall asleep. Um, and so the nighttime is a more interesting work for me, but I know that's not true for everybody that's out there. So,
But
um,
yeah, I mean, for you, it's like, how do you do that and like figure out your teaching schedule? I'm always like amazed by that you're able to figure those two things out.
it's called I am very tired when I go to school.
So you
I
probably have like good. Do you have like good like you're like done for that, or is there like work stuff that you get back in and you're like, oh no, I still gotta get into this?
Wait, what do you mean by that? I didn't follow that.
Like, do you get when you get home from like teaching, is there like do you go into another art time? How do you get any of your art stuff done?
Yeah, it's late night, or it's a day that I do. So here's the little kicker that makes it a little easier is I don't teach every day.
Oh,
And
that's right. Okay, yeah.
yeah, as a professor, you teach the days that like there's a certain amount of classes that you teach, and as a chair at the school I'm at, I get a course release, which means that I have to go to more meetings, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm away from home or that I'm fighting that same battle. And so I end up, the majority of my day is thinking about school and all the things that come with it, all the challenges that come with it. But that also means that I can still work on whatever I need to work on in the background.
Hmm.
And so that idea of when I get home, I can sort of draw and paint and plan in my head. And then the next time I'm in front of the computer, I can sit down and go, okay, well, I need to, do A, B, or C that I thought of the night before. But it does mean that the nights that I'm up late, like when I hit deadlines, there were times where I'd be up until 3 a.m, and then I have to be up at about 5:30 in the morning to get ready for school. And I go to school, and then the next day is crash day. That's the day where I get to, hopefully take a nap and do things of that sort that can help replenish what I was struggling with from, that horrible schedule of sorts.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not always the easiest thing in the world. Let's put it that way. Uh,
No, it seems like a really tricky way to just like. But it sounds like you've got kind of a good pace that you figured out works for you. I mean, as you get into like wanting to do more books and stuff like that, is there part you'd ask kind of about something else I'd want to do later? Have you thought about wanting to do more, or do you feel pretty
uh,
that you feel like you could keep balancing this and still get
I
the
would like to do more, but well, no, that's not true. I would like to do bigger jobs. You know,
mm-hmm.
I want. A lot of the publishers I've worked with have been small independent publishers that just don't pay the same, and so it'd be nice,
Mm-hmm.
like a couple of really big jobs that just don't require the same sort of constant element. I mean, one of the things I want to talk to you about in particular is just the fact that agent side of things, and the fact that because if I'm correct, you don't have an agent, right? I think we talked about this.
Yeah, no, I haven't had one for the majority of the career.
Yeah, and so that idea of like having an agent helps because I don't have to go out and do that side of things.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
there is this added sort of pressure, I think, of like, well, am I doing enough work? Are they happy with the fact that I haven't worked on a book in a long time or whatever it may be? Like that does weigh into my thought process in some of it. And so like there's this need to constantly be working just because I want to get approval of sorts. But at the same time, I know that's not the make or break for the agent, but that is something where like it does worry me a little bit as time goes on. So um, with not having an agent, do you think it's hard? Do you think that you like you said you haven't had one for a good chunk of time, but there is challenges to not having an agent, i.e., having to deal with contracts and negotiating and all that.
Mhm.
Has that been
Yeah,
a
I think the time management is the thing that I struggle with the most, not having an agent, like just like that. Like, how do you keep up with the contracts and the negotiations and promotions and making new connections? Um, I think that's the part that's adds more work on top of just trying to then get enough work done during the day. So I know I'm probably making my life a lot harder. And maybe someday I'd have an agent, like if I started to do more writing, maybe a literary agent. But I don't know, and it's not that I'm against them at all. It's just I had one at the beginning that just didn't work as well,
yeah?
um, and so then I just kind of tried to give it a go on my own, and it started to work really well. And
Well, I heard you badmouth agents before, and that's why. No, just the idea of like you have nothing against them. I like that idea of like, oh, you're sitting around going like agents are the worst. Of course, that's not true. But is it the upkeep aspect? Do you feel like you're always having to look for stuff, or are you at a point now career wise where stuff sort of comes to you and you don't have to do the maintenance in the sense of like getting out and getting your name seen? Oh, it's too long of a audio break. Does that mean that Luke, are you there?
oh, am I still there?
Oh, you are now. You are back.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like the battery's getting a little low, so maybe I either need to charge it up or we'll have to put it down. What was the question about?
The question was thinking about the promotion side and like outreach and trying to hunt down work.
Oh, right, yeah. No, I mean, I feel like I'm with that many books out. I feel like I have been grateful that like one kind of leads to the other. Doing
Yeah.
some series has helped, you know. Yeah, I mean, just still trying to stay, you know, relevant as far as like being on social media as much as possible, even though it's kind of tricky these days. And just, you know, doing a lot of networking, still traveling out to see, you know, publishers as much as I can. I don't know, I guess I do just a little bit more of that kind of legwork than, you know, if I didn't have to, if I had an agent, I probably wouldn't have to do that. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure there's parts of it that is hard for, you know, working with publishers if it's like, oh, you know, it'd be easier to not have to do all that. But to be honest, I found like it's really helped kind of for building relationships and getting to know the publishers.
Meaning like doing the legwork and
Yeah, and just like
yeah.
in conversation, you know, and I feel like I've learned a lot about like better ways to do that.
Did
You know,
did you get that of any sort when you were in school
what,
or learning? Or was it learn
no, I
jobs?
feel like it was just sort of, I don't know. I guess kind of learning as you went along. You know, again, like all of us, made a lot of mistakes at the beginning with, you know, how to deal with contracts and, you know, getting the right, you know, rights and royalties and all that. So definitely was a good learning curve when I first started into it. But now I feel like, you know, I have a pretty good understanding of how to do that.
You made mistakes early on? No way.
And yeah, and by early on, I mean just even last week.
Yeah. With, no, wait a second. Are you being serious, or are you
I
joking?
mean, always. I mean, I feel like for me, and I still make mistakes in the like I said, just doing time management with like a new style and just being like, oh,
Yeah.
I feel like bad when I don't hit the deadline I imagined it would be, you know. So I feel like that's a good thing. We're still learning, and I'm not so set on like that I've got it figured out. Um, but yeah, as far as like contracts and stuff, I feel like that's been a good learning thing. Just as I've worked on more, you know, maybe larger contracts with, you know, series and things like that. Like that's been still something I've felt like I'm still learning aspects of it. You know, try to negotiating is always hard. You know, as
Yeah.
cost of living goes up, and you feel like, gosh, I sure wish I could make a little bit more on these things that I'm working on. But I get the industry is what it is. So that kind of stuff. I think we're all still learning like how to fight for ourselves, but still, you know, appreciate the fact that I'm just glad to get another book project. You know, so I don't want to, you know. So I think it's still just in that like valuing the experience I've had and what I bring to a book versus like still being open to the fact that like I get that we're all in a tough economic place, you know.
It is a challenging industry in the sense that uh, it really is like there's not consistency,
Yeah.
and that can be really disheartening when you work on a book and you get a certain price, and then the next book you don't get that price, and you don't
Yeah.
know where stuff's coming from. You don't know when it's going to be. There's just not a consistent setup to it, and I know that has been like a challenge for me in general.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Not knowing, never knowing, no matter how many books you've done, no matter how how long you've been in the industry, you don't know whether tomorrow is or this book that you're working on is the last one or the first one or the whatever it may be.
Yeah. But that's what I like. I mean, I think it keeps you hungry. I feel like getting a little bit too set on, oh, I've got it figured out and things are just going to roll my way.
Yeah.
I think that helps. And maybe that's also why, just not having an agent has helped me just stay really hungry and like, even if you get like a New York Times bestseller or something you're like, oh, wow, okay, we made it. This was a big one. I'm grateful for those experiences, but they are fleeting, like you still just got to prove yourself the next book and the next book and the next book. So that can get deflating over time sometimes, just feeling like, gosh, it felt like this was going to be the one that kicked it into
overdrive.
the
Yeah.
next level, but I don't know.
Well, let me ask you about the New York Times bestseller kind of side of things, because I was last week we had Dan Santat on, who was talking.
Oh yeah.
He was talking about the aspect of winning the Caldecott and stuff like that, and then the expectation level that comes. And I've never, nor do I think I will ever get anything on the New York Times bestseller, and so I don't know the experience of what it's like when that happens, in the sense of, is there some level of expectation after you have something on that list to like meet some standard going forward, if that makes any sense, in the sense of like, do people come to you and go like, we want the next one to be a bestseller too, and so look, or was there pressure that you put on yourself in the same way, like Dan was talking about, and I don't know if you heard it, but he was talking about, and it was the thing that poured with me, was that when he won the Caldecott, a bunch of the previous Caldecott winners reached out to him and said, hey, if you need chat, we're here. Meaning that, the pressure and the level of stress that comes with winning something like that is huge.
For sure.
And does that same thing happen with the New York Times bestseller?
I mean, I think it was, for me, it's just different because, like with Dan, it was for a book that he had both written and illustrated, so there's a different level of like ownership in that capacity. I think for me, the first one was with the Mr. Rogers book. And of course, I totally understand that like 80% of that was because it's just Mr. Rogers and he's just amazing. Anybody that would have illustrated it would have, been New York Times bestselling on that. I do like to think I added some charm to it and some personality.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like, I get that like that one sold at the levels it did because of it's just the beauty of Mr. Rogers. And so I just felt grateful to be part of that. And again, even with like the film, the Just Try It books, I fully relate and understand that like that one, again, Phil is, an absolutely legend in his industry, and he's a great writer, from writing Everybody Loves Raymond, the Netflix is, Somebody Feed Phil. So again, these books are going to sell well just because of who they are. And again, with the Just Try It ones, I like to think that I added some extra charm to what Phil and Lil were doing, and the aspects that they brought to it. So yeah,
don't say
I don't know.
The situation. You're you're not taking credit for all the things that you brought.
No, that's what I'm saying. I feel like I added some charms to the projects, but again, it wasn't one that like I've never had one of the books that like Moby Shinobi didn't go on there, but obviously that's a little chapter reader. But so I don't know. There's it would be, of course, it would be fun to try to like write, but I also understand like my styles and stuff is probably not, sometimes at that level yet. So as I start to think about writing and stuff more, that's where I'd be like, I still have a lot to learn on just how to write books that are maybe more in that realm of worthy of like New York Times or Caldecott, stuff like that. And I just have such respect for the people that have that gift of being able to write or illustrate or both, books that are so beautiful or so clever. So that's the aspect of like my career that I still feel like I have a lot of learning left to do, and I hope they would have opportunities to face that challenge.
Yeah. I mean, I know that I still feel to this point like, yeah, I've had a couple of books that I wrote published, but that's nothing. And it was ages ago at this point. And so like, it was 10 years ago almost. And so it's not like I'm like out there raking in lots of money for writing of any sort. Oh, my wife asked a question here, which I think is a good one because of the season. She's all about Halloween. It's my wife's favorite season.
Team Halloween.
Yeah, I'm out half the time because of teaching and sort. She wrote, "What do you each think is the best Halloween costume you ever wore?"
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Um, for me, oops, I knocked the thing down. For me, it was this like handmade. My mom had like a friend who was like a pretty decent seamstress, and she made this like ET costume that was like from a pattern and everything, and it was just amazing. But it was like 10 times too big for me, so it was just like saggy, the most saggy, baggy ET character you've ever seen.
Are you
Uh,
scare me again and bring up all those bad memories?
yeah, yeah. If you want to see it, I'll have to post it because it's haunting, but also so sweet. So that was one of my favorites, and we wore that. I mean, because it was so big, I probably was ET for like 3 years in a row. People are probably like, enough with the ET.
Yeah, that's the like my brother-in-law's family. They have a bin of costumes that just like basically every year it was pull out a couple different combinations, and that's what you are for this time.
Yeah.
And I was not. I think I started really out on Halloween as a kid, probably when I was in. I'm gonna say probably like fourth, which I know sounds maybe a little bit young, but I never really got into it the same way that other folks did, and so the idea of dressing up sort of slowed down for me. But I got my wife in my life, we got into some like weird. I got into more esoteric costumes, and so like I
Oh,
don't remember
wow.
kid ones, but some of my favorites. My wife and I one year. Do you know who the sportscaster is? Harry Carey.
Oh, totally. The like the SNL version that Will
Yes.
Ferrell did was so great.
Yeah. So um,
Cubs win.
yeah. So we went one year. My wife was, or I was Harry Carey committing Harry Carey,
Oh gosh.
and so I had like a giant sword coming out, or the thing like the handle sticking out of my chest and blood. And then my wife was from the horror movie Carrie, was
Oh, clever.
Carrie with a mustache committing Harry Carey. And so that was the like those kind of themes were really fun. And I know there was a year where I dressed up as the Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA album.
Oh, that's very clever.
It was just a board that had an American flag on it that I wore on my front. And so if you got behind me at a certain angle, it was just my butt with a bandana sticking out, and jeans and a white shirt. And like at that angle, you saw the cover, and that's all it was. It was not super like complex of any sort, but it was just enough to make it, get the idea across to people.
Yeah.
So
I
those,
love that. I like that idea of like an album cover icon or something. That's really
yeah,
cool.
there's probably other ones out there that you can get, or like you can get to easily like that. But I like those kind of like ones. Or I totally forgot that I had done this, but at one point, like it felt like it was a memory or a dream. But I did one where I got pants that were like 10 to 20 times too big for me. And then we I got some sort of pole that stuck up the back of the pants, and on it stuck some clear plexiglass and wrote "after" on it, so I could pull the waistband belt out, so it looked like I was on one of those weight loss ads. And so it was just me. So it was like, oh, this is me after I lost all this weight. And it's such a dumb idea for a costume, but those are the ones that I remember the most, probably.
Well, those are really clever.
But I can't remember kid stuff. I think
Huh.
the most I can remember is my parents had these. I don't know why they had this. This is when we lived in Colorado. They had 7-Up cans and Coca-Cola can costumes. And I remember dressing up as those because that was just the costume that was available.
That's so
But
funny.
why?
Yeah.
Not a clue. So I'm just looking at.
I think another one that I remember was like Karate Kid was like so big, and I like again that same like my mom's friend was like just loved it like to sew, so we always gave her reasons, but yeah, like the full on Daniel's son, you know, with the like bonsai tree
Yep.
costume, and so yeah, those were like I feel like I loved dressing up for Halloween more when I was a kid than I do now, so.
It's
I feel like the ones I do now are again like just heroes or you know like Jim Henson or you know things like that are fun to just try to come up with the elements. But I don't know, yours are really clever. It's making me think, gosh, I gotta take my creativity up a notch.
when our son was little, we got in this thing that I think was a good practice, and I'd like to get back to at some point. But I don't know what the temp is like when you're there in Colorado, but up here, oftentimes it's very, very cold on those nights. I mean, it can be
Yeah,
like tomorrow's not going to be too bad, but it's going to be in the like 40s at night. And so like little kids end up having to wear, a jacket on top, and it ruins the costume.
yeah,
And so we got in this habit of making costumes that require a sweatshirt and sweatpants. And so like one year we went as Winnie the Pooh, and I was Winnie the Pooh, so I had like a yellow sweatsuit with a red shirt on it, and our son was Piglet, and so he had a pink with the striped shirt or whatever, and Lorna was Eeyore. And then the next year we were Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and we had green sweatsuits, and I made stuff to stick on top of them. And then we were raccoons, and then it was such a good habit in the sense of like you were never cold. You never had to worry about being cold in that situation because you had such a warm outfit on. And I like that idea, but I think we have lost that way of some sort. And so it's like it was all about comfort at that point. The other thing that became a challenge for me is, and I don't know if this ever hit you, but now I'm at a point where I have to wear glasses all the time. I mean, I have since I was little, but I want a costume where I don't have to put something on top of my glasses because it's painful and annoying.
yeah. I can see the challenges there.
Yeah. And so like costumes where I can wear my glasses, then I'm good. And so like the more I can aim towards that, the better. I love that, like, I'm just barely getting into some of the like finished aesthetic of what I'm working on, and you've already done, I don't even know how many drawings you've done.
There's like 5 cars, maybe 6 here.
Yeah, you got.
We'll finish with this headless horseman here.
I'm like slowly getting towards what I want to be at, but it's.
So that's what I always enjoy about watching yours, because you're like developing a full-on piece of art, and I'm just doodling.
Yeah, but there's a speed factor. Like if you watch the first half of these, everybody's done something, and I'm still like.
But you're also having to like ask questions and stuff. If I was having to ask questions, I can barely multitask as answering questions. I'm like, I see myself slow down, and then when you're telling your stories, then I'm like, oh, now I'm cruising.
Yeah, it's the first half is always me like just getting colors blocked in, and then I do know that like yes, it takes time, but I'm always I'm always jealous that it's so fast for some of the people that we have on. Now, you said that the idea of like getting a chance to sketch and do some of these things, is that something that um, you're actively trying to get into your schedule, or is that something that just really depends on the day of sorts?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I kind of got away from it the last couple of years, be able to do as much of this like kind of personal work. Just because I think, like I was saying, I'm just trying to catch up after the like year we had with just like the cancer battle. I think that really set me back just project wise. So I feel like I've been in kind of like recovery catch up mode.
Yeah.
So no, that's why it's been fun to do a little bit more stuff like this again, as I can to
Now,
enjoy that aspect of it again.
remind me, because I don't remember. Is your wife in remission at this point?
Yeah, I mean, luckily that this is, yeah, actually November will be a year of, in her first year in remission. So
Beautiful. That's
yeah,
lovely. I always
extra
forget the
thankful.
terminology, but remission is the term where like it's not there or it's not.
Yeah, just a clear scan. Like she's had a good clear, a year of clear scans.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
glad.
so
I'm glad that it's gotten to that point that you can
yeah,
that it's not the ever present threat. Uh,
yeah, that was the hardest part.
my mother at one point, I was driving home from school and dropped some news that was cancer related, akin to that, and it was so nonchalant the way that she dropped the news to me, and I was like, "What is going on?" As I was,
Yeah,
but everything has come out clear since, and I know that the like relief knowing when you get to that point that you're no longer fighting that battle on a regular basis is love.
yeah,
So I'm glad to hear that, and I'm glad to know that both for her case, but also for your stress level and all that you have going on, that you're not fighting
yeah.
that same thing. So um,
I appreciate that. Yeah,
yeah,
it's yeah, for anybody that's gone through it, they know it's like just kind of all consuming. Even for the spouses and the family, it is all consuming more than
yeah,
I realized.
the upkeep that you have to do to like, because it puts the pressure on you. Like you know that my wife has medical,
Yeah,
like there's a lot of wear and tear on everybody in those situations, and so I can imagine that you have seen and been challenged, and to, like I said, to get out to the other side where now you have the moments where you can start to say, oh, I just want to draw and play
yeah, exactly.
towards it.
Or
Uh,
go hiking, or yeah, do some extra stuff.
yeah. Now, remind me, where and when did you go to school? Did you go for illustration?
Yeah, I went to Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design up
Okay,
in Denver.
okay, you did go there. I didn't.
Yeah,
I, I knew that you had gone somewhere out that region, but I didn't realize it was that school.
yeah,
Um, was that a good school? Was that, I don't know much about it. I mean, I know the name of the school,
yeah.
but I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's very small, especially when I was there. I mean, they're much larger, like accredited school now, and I mean their departments have really grown and they've got great facilities.
Yeah,
Yeah, when I was there, it was just like two buildings between a road. It was just it was so crazy. Yeah, it was very small time, but I actually really loved that. I mean, it was very intimate, connections with our instructors, and I felt like I got to know our head illustration chairs and departments and all those so much better. And just, yeah, I feel really thankful for what it was. I mean,
yeah,
I had wanted to go to other schools, but just, I just felt like that was the one close to home. And I mean, again, growing up in a small town, I had never had maybe the confidence to like move out to California to go to a big, like Cal Arts or something like that. And
the
yeah, at the time I felt like that was where my abilities were, and it turned out to be a good choice because I met my wife there, and It was a good school.
Real quick, Tom Engelberger's said both of these are looking fantastic. I don't do you know Tom Engelberger?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's been to a bunch of events that I've been to and met him and whatnot, and he's very very funny. But he's on.
Oh
Oh yeah, we need to have him on. That's true.
yeah, absolutely.
Upstairs. One of the things that Tom did that I always loved this story or telling the story, and Tom, if you're watching, please know this it got me every single time. Uh, we were at a kidlit festival thing, and I was sitting near him, and every time a kid would come up, maybe I told you about this at the event, where every time a kid would come up, he would go like, Steve,
Yeah.
and then they'd go no, and then he'd like, oh, that you're not Steve, okay, and then the next kid he'd come up, and it was Tom that was doing that. But what did your wife go to school there for?
Oh, she was up at CU Boulder, so she was a
Oh,
little up higher,
so she was
but yeah,
she was not at,
she was there for nursing.
oh, okay. Is she a nurse still?
No, she ended up changing her major to sociology.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's
So
my I sociology, or like any sort of like how people think and work. Uh, it is probably my like hidden interest.
yeah.
I've said to a few folks that if it wasn't for being oh, my son is yelling at me too. Is it moving your paper a little to the left?
Oh, whoops. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, and my son commented, so I need to look at that comment too. I was gonna say that the my interest is psychology and how brains work,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
knowing like sociology is that kind of stuff, right? Like how people tick.
She was more like for doing like social work.
Yeah, but that's still like in that same ballpark to me of like knowing how to chat with people. Maybe I'm wrong, but my son says, "What's your favorite spooky tradition?"
Oh, good. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, just going out trick or treating is always fun. I just love seeing all the like other clever costumes.
Do you have like Halloween traditions in general, like things you have to do? Like there's a place near us up here that does a pumpkin regatta, i.e., people carve out a giant pumpkin and race it.
Oh, that's super cool.
In water, essentially. And is there anything like that you're like, oh, we do this every year?
Oh, well, there's not. I wish there was. Up here, they have like a grave or a casket race, which we haven't been to in a long time. I
Like
think
they
they're still doing.
race them down the road kind of thing?
Yeah, like people make like kind of like like derby, box cars and like, but they're like casket based. I
That's
guess at one point here in like Manitou, which is just a little ways from us, they had like a mudslide that had a bunch of caskets get unearthed and kind of slide down the mountain. So they decided to make a tradition out of it.
I love
A
that.
very strange and morbid thing.
Yeah, there's some family out there that every year they're like horrified by the fact
Yeah.
that someone does that. They're like, well, that was
Yeah.
Carl, and
Yeah. Carl went sliding down the mountain. Now everybody's just having a gay old time with it.
we we have stuff like we always get a pumpkin and have to roast the seeds and things of that sort. But it just reminded me of this story of when I was little, and I forget. I just told someone about this the other day, but when I was little, we went out to Wyoming with my family to go to a rodeo. And while we were there, I was probably like 3 or 4. Did I tell you this?
Uh-uh.
Okay. I was probably like 3 or 4, maybe I'm guessing more like 3. And it was a parade that they had going. And so we were lined up on the side, and someone from one of the floats came out and grabbed me and pulled me up on a float, which like as a little kid, sounds really fun. But the float they put me on was a torture and execution float. And so they brought me up there, and it was all these people with like black hoods on, you know,
Okay.
style. And they asked me at the time, a little 3-year-old, hey, how do you want to die? I know it's kind of funny, like thinking back to. I mean, of course, at the time I was horrified.
Oh yeah.
They didn't even ask my parents, hey, can we grab him and bring him up on the float? They just grabbed me. So my parents were running down the side of the road, trying to keep up with this float going down the parade, trying to fight their way through crowds that are there. But like you mentioning the idea of the coffins going down the road brought up that memory.
Yeah.
So
That's hilarious. It was the 80s, so you're just like, hey, just grab a kid.
yeah. Like you would think they would be a little smarter than that, but I
Oh
remember
yeah.
distinctly like the guy saying, hey, how do you want to die? And I look over and there's like a stump with an axe in it, as in they had just chopped off someone's head with a basket underneath it. And like, how horrifying is that they did that to a little kid? But,
Yeah.
you know,
How do you want to die, little boy?
yeah, at the same time, like, I'm sure it was entertaining for the people in the crowd.
Yeah. And look at you. Look how you turned out. So
Yeah,
normal.
I have no problem at all
No problems at all.
with that instance. It didn't stick in my memory at all. um,
Yeah, we always had like growing up, we had like a fall fest thing that we always did. Like I went to like a little tiny Christian school, so
yeah,
we didn't. That was a funny thing. Like I loved Halloween and stuff growing up, but like growing up again, like in a kind of conservative Christian family, we didn't do as much Halloween, scary, spooky stuff. So I didn't really get as many of those traditions growing up. But now I love a lot of that. The aspect of like the spooky and like again, not so much like I feel like a lot of the decorations these days have become so gory. I'm not as much into that. Again,
yeah.
no shade on those that love it because I do think there's some fun to it as far as the creativity. There's some like super fun houses around us, but as for the little kids, I'm like, oh gosh, that's nightmare fuel.
Yep. I
But
agree.
people are getting so creative. There's like animatronics and like I mean, it's like what I do love is like I feel like the Halloween decorators are getting to the level of like some of these Christmas crazies. They're like
Yeah.
full on like there's light shows and yeah, it's pretty fun. So I do enjoy that side of it, going and looking at all the like spooky houses.
There was an article I saw the other day in the news that was talking about how Halloween displays have gotten like there's communities that are limiting what you can do because they've gotten too realistic,
Yes.
and that like cops are being called saying like, oh, there's a dead body
Yeah. I can
over
see.
here or whatever. And I totally get it, honestly. Like it's gotten a little like some of them. I think it's just when I think back to like this 80s, like it's clear these were like a plastic cutout that
Yeah.
was someone's lawn, and now they're they are pretty intense, and the fact they move and do things of that sort.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, my wife of course wants to see the casket race.
Yeah.
As a teacher
Yeah.
and says, one year I walked around holding a cardboard thought bubble over my head that read "Boo." I was a scary thought. Uh,
That's creative.
uh, I don't know. My son just made some weird noise upstairs. Um, the the aspect of being an adult and looking at Halloween too now, and I don't know if the same thing hit for you. Halloween is this. My wife's gonna hate hearing this. Halloween's a chore. No, like as a kid, like I don't know. You live in a house, right?
Yeah.
You got a yard.
Yeah. We do have a yard.
I don't. Well, some people have the like rockscape kind of
Oh,
stuff.
right. Yeah.
But like when I moved into this house, I was so excited to have a yard, and I was like, I'm gonna mow the yard. It's gonna be so nice. And then all of a sudden it became, oh man, I gotta mow the yard.
Yes.
And like it was less of a like. I was like, oh, I got responsibility, and now that responsibility drags me down. The same thing with snow.
For sure.
I the same for you. Like there's a where like you get snow and you're like, as a little kid, you're like, I get to play in the snow, and now it's me going, oh, I got to dig my car out,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
or what have you. And so
Yeah.
now, oh, I was going to ask you about this. This in particular. This is going back to the book, the monster books.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
do you see? Because one of the things Lauren's been saying is like, I need to try to write a holiday book, or something that's tied to a holiday or something of the sort. And I'm
Yeah.
wondering, see an uptick like this season? Obviously, you have the new book, but the old book. Do you have any sense of like, are you going to see a uptick in sales?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, it feels like it always has a little uptick, with like any of the holiday ones. But I mean, I also think there's like it comes in waves too, because like um, whenever I have like a new book come out, then all of a sudden you see like a spike in all your books, because somebody will go and be like, oh, I didn't realize he does this one and that and this one, like like the like Muppets Christmas Carol one, like somebody will see that and they're like, oh, he also does the Labyrinth one, and oh, there's this monster one, and so I don't know, it's kind of funny how that all plays into each other.
Yeah.
Thematically, I often find like sometimes you'll see like, oh, all of a sudden there's a big interest in that type of book that I've done, so then there's a lot more in that sale. But yeah, for sure, like this one is fall based, and so of course, it'll probably always be like higher sales in that time. But I also think it's like that's why I think it's fun not to just promote your books just when they first come out. Like I don't know, it feels like it's a any time of year kind of book too.
Yeah. I mean, that the story is not like, hey, it's Halloween.
Yeah.
It involves the characters in an interesting. I mean, obviously, like there's scary things, or scary and funny as it sort of plays out in the whole thing. But it's not. Hey, it only makes sense at this time of year.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones where like, because I've never worked on anything tied to a specific day or a specific season like that, I always wonder sort of, does it go through cycles of some sorts?
Yeah, for sure. I think with these ones, I don't know. I mean, like all of us, I think that's the hardest thing with like promoting books right now is it does feel like it's like, especially like social media, it's like, oh, you have the day it came out, and then it's like, unless you do book tours and school visits and stuff, I mean, it really is. It's easy to just let a book come and go so quickly because there's just so much.
Yep.
So I think again, that's kind of why I use the puppets and stuff. It's fun to just do extra videos throughout the season and try to keep those things, out there that people can still connect to. But yeah, it is hard. And again, if you're doing like 6 books a year or something, then there's a lot. You got to move to the next one and the next one. But
I always bad because my wife always wants to like promote stuff that I've done ages ago, and I'm someone who like it needs to be new, it needs to be fresh for it to be exciting for me, and
yeah,
so stuff that feels old or dated, I'm always people don't want to see that stuff. Now she'll post it, and then it gets great, reaction, and that's always
yeah,
Anna come back to me and say, "See, people like it."
yeah. I think that's the thing. Like, I think we get so used to like with the social that like the algorithm will just be like, oh, it's just this. You just get the one chance, but now it's like I don't know. There's so many people that are just like they're just now finding your work. So, you know, I think it's okay to sometimes
Reposting.
yeah, repost certain things or kind of and I also think like I don't post a lot of the art from the book, so sometimes people haven't even seen some of it, and like it's like, oh, that was if they don't buy the book or something that there's some elements of those books that like they've never seen that are kind of fun to share again.
Now, one of the uh, dude, I just lost it. Hold on a second. Oh, one of the questions I had for you as well that I totally forgot to ask because I know we mentioned it a while back, but the idea of you have this connection to Gallery 1988
Uh-huh.
and doing the Raised by Rainbows, and I'm wondering how did that come to be? Because you've done a lot of them there, and then you're not only are you doing work for a show like that, but you're also essentially what's it called?
Curating.
Curating, yes.
Yeah.
You're in charge of getting folks to put work into those shows and reaching out to, artists that artists that you don't know, etc. Was that something that you proposed to them? Was that something that they came to you and said, hey, would you ever want to do this? How did that all sort of manifest?
Yeah, some of the first ones I did was just like they had like a Mattel show that was happening, and they said, "Do you want to like curate just the other artists that will be in this Mattel show?" Um, and so that was fun because I mean, I just that's the one thing I love about the gallery show is just getting to know a community of other people that are maybe into the same thing that you're into, or um, just other artists that are in that gallery realm that I don't maybe interact with as much um, with like the kidlit community. So that's fun to just kind of get to know a whole different community of artists. And then with the like Raised by Rainbows, I'd done like three shows of my own, just gallery work, just doing like 20 new pieces for them, and that was fun. But I was starting to feel like, gosh, one, it takes forever. I was getting so busy with like books. It was
Yeah.
hard to like produce 20 new gallery pieces and that. And I just also felt like there's so many artists I love their work that I would just like to see, how they would take on the like Raised by Rainbow theme or like their favorite characters. It didn't have to be rainbow or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, but that was again, I just came to the gallery in 1918 and said like, would it be okay to like do this as a group show now since I've already done my own solo shows for a couple times. And they really liked that idea, and then so we did two of those, and then again, like when we had just the cancer year that was so hard, I kind of had to take a break this year from doing any gallery work just because it was again just had so many books that were kind of got backed up, and
Yeah.
um, so
You're
yeah,
allowed to take some time for yourself.
yeah,
That's that's okay. Yeah, it's one of those. It's a gallery that like there's a couple of galleries out there that are like that, where like they they're okay with like uh, illustrative and silly and whatnot, and so that when I don't even I assume that maybe that's where we first met, is you reached out to me
yeah,
one of those shows. And so like looking at it, all the people that are in there, it is a, it's gallery work, but it's a lot of illustrators. It's a lot of people who wouldn't traditionally show in a standard like fine art gallery, but are given this opportunity to show in this really fun environment. My cat is dropping stuff down the stairs now. I don't know if you hear that, the little click clack.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, it's time for dinner.
Yeah, no, it's way past dinner time out here. Um, he's just an idiot, and he will literally take stuff up the stairs and then drop it down the stairs over and over again. So hopefully that's not bothering people.
No,
But yeah, it's such a
the,
cool.
the spooky cat sound just adds to the
Yeah,
theme.
yeah.
I feel like you could have some more. Your son could rattle some more chains or something in there.
Well, yeah, we use him to lock him up at night. So there's since he's asleep right now, he's wrapped up in those chains and can't move them. Um, with the gallery scene, is that something that like thinking back to where you got your start, was the gallery part of that, or was that something that got introduced later?
Yeah, they actually kind of happened at the same time, really. And then the thing that I mean, I've gotten several books from doing gallery show, like the Labyrinth, the Jim Henson Labyrinth one came out of that.
Oh, really?
Because I'd done it was for the 35th anniversary of Labyrinth, and somebody over at the Henson Company happened to come over and see the show because it's kind of right over where
Located.
the Jim Henson studio is located. So again, that was kind of fun because then that was like, hey, this is already, the concept, the art's all there. We just need to come up with we had to add a few other characters into it to make it work for the book idea. And same with like the Mr. Rogers book kind of came out of that. They'd seen some stuff I'd done, and we're like, hey, like I had like a Daniel Tiger character in one of the Raised by Rainbow things, and yeah. So again, it's like, I don't know, some of that fan art stuff, can lead to some book project stuff too every now and then, which has been fun. Which again, like the little golden book biographies, kind of that helps, just knowing that like I was into that kind of pop culture and some of those characters. And
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's cool that one of the stories I tell in class, and this is, I don't even know 100% if it's true, but this is what I was told back in the day is, do you know the illustrator Marshall Arisman?
Uh-uh.
So he's known for like Time. He does a lot of editorial and painting and things of the sort. But he did a lot of work for Time magazine back in the sort of 80s and things of the sort. But at one point he was the before he passed, he was the chair of the visual essay program at what was it, SVA, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And anyways, the story was that he got out of school and he was spending all the time trying to recognize for his artwork and build portfolio, and he got all this like recognition from competitions and things of the sort, but the work that he was getting was slim to none.
Oh,
So he finally kind of caved to his fine art side, and caved not in a bad way, but just like realized, okay, I'm just gonna do some stuff for a gallery, and then
yeah.
gallery for a while, doing paintings, and some art director found him and said, hey, we want you to work on stuff for us. And even though he had like won these awards, what came of it was really this idea that when he became much more less driven by commercial output, that he got recognized for it, and
Yeah.
they in turn sort of gave him assignments that were less like, here's your full brief, you need to answer all these different questions that or visual questions that need to be solved in this editorial piece. Instead they would just say like, hey, we're doing a piece on guns, can you just make a cool painting about guns?
Oh, that's so cool.
And then all of a sudden he would go make that painting. And since then he became a one of the more I don't want to say prolific, but a mainstay in writing about illustration as a career, and is in a lot of like how to succeed in illustration kind of books
Yeah.
and whatnot. But it sounds akin to that when you say the idea that like these companies found you because you were in a gallery, and I think it's a good thing for people to hear that just assume you get your work out there in a portfolio may not always be the only way to be seen
Yeah.
or to get the your due of some sort. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, and I think for me, like trying to, because I did want to kind of do, I like working with different properties. So being in that realm, I mean, I guess for like, some people in Kid that they wouldn't be like, I have no interest in doing a book, with Nickelodeon or something. So that
yeah,
might be the avenue. But I would say the thing I loved about doing the gallery work stuff is it also gave me a lot of opportunities just to try a lot of different styles and
yeah,
techniques, and
yeah,
and that also ended up some of the book publishers were like, hey, like the Minecraft series that I did, that came out of like a over the garden wall piece I had done in a style that they'd never seen of mine, and they were like, hey, we really like that style. Could you do like a Minecraft world in that style? Um, so again, that kind of stuff. It doesn't necessarily have to be like, oh, that's the kind of work I want to be doing, but sometimes you just never know, like the exposure and the like. Somebody might just see like, oh, I like that technique, and I've
yeah.
seen other friends that do gallery work that do just absolutely beautiful book work as well. So
It's interesting too. Like the one thing that's really nice about Gallery 1988 and Gallery Nucleus and um, Giant Robot and all the different sort of
yeah,
small independent galleries like that is that they don't require you to sort of change your aesthetic if you don't. And so like you can walk in there and do something super illustrative and not have them go, well, we really want to see you do, A, B, or C because that's what we have seen before.
yeah,
That idea of like allowing that flexibility and allowing you to do what comes naturally to you is such a nice thing that those galleries sort of allow at this point.
yeah, yeah. How did you would you do more gallery like shows if you had the opportunities, or how did
I
you feel about it?
No, I do. There's a gallery that's up here that's called Gallery Nakata
Oh,
that
okay.
in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, that
Uh-huh.
I got involved in. There's a lot of illustrators that have shown there, but it's more of the like fine art illustrators.
Uh,
And I don't even know what I submitted to them ages ago. But they hired me or not hired me, but I did a show with them, and I've been doing shows with them since, I don't know, I don't even know how many years it's been now.
oh,
Um,
okay. I didn't realize that.
yeah, but to the point wherein, like, I think part of it was the first show that I was in, and it's going to sound like I'm bragging, but it sets up some of the, I handed in the artwork and they posted it online, and before the show even opened, all of it had sold.
Oh, wow. So
And
what's the themes of it? Or is it just kind of custom characters that you're drawing or?
I mean, it's a show where they say you have to have a certain size, so it has to be
Oh,
upper.
okay. Yeah.
So, what I did and what I still do is paint on like found scrap wood. And so it's very different than what I do now,
Right.
in the illustration world, but, meant to be sort of, what do I want to say, like a little bit of assemblage. So if you go look on my website, some of the gallery stuff, you can see some of it, but it's that idea of the sort of letting me play with material. And because I sold out in the first couple shows pretty quickly, I've been in, I don't know, 30 shows or something like that with them. It's some ridiculous amount.
That's,
But
I don't know how I didn't know that. That's so cool.
no, it's not. If you go look at it, you'll be like, oh, I didn't realize that was one of yours, kind of situation. But there's stuff that comes from it. But I tried illustration stuff in there, like stuff that's more akin to not necessarily what I do now, but what I was doing at the time, and it did not sell at all. And so
Oh,
very much a like this folk art. I don't know if I have any of it around here because some of it has come back that didn't sell, but yeah, I don't know if I have any around here. I'd have to really search. But so I do that gallery show on a regular basis. Uh, in fact, I think in the next month or so, I got to make work for it for the next one. And then there's other like smaller galleries around here, and I send stuff out to Gallery 1988, to Gallery Nucleus periodically, and things of the sort. But it's not my mainstay. Like, it's fun to do, but it's not. I very much like illustrating books more so.
yeah.
Um,
So what books you got cooking up next?
Nothing on my plate from publishers, but I do have, like I said, that one that's really long. And then I have something out on sub that I'm waiting to hear back on. And then there's a couple other ones that I want to write. I'm due for sabbatical soon.
Oh yeah, we talked
Well,
about a little bit about that.
yeah, and so I really want to spend some time writing for that, trying to get some of these ideas that have been on the back burner. The problem is when I'm teaching, like right now, finding time to work. This is a time where I can set it aside to work, but I can't sit here and write for 4 hours on a Thursday. That would not be exciting to see me just type, type, type. And so finding time to sit down and write has been hard. But eventually it will happen, and I will pump out some of the ideas. So, but yeah, nothing right now that's really like on the back burner. There is a project that I'm working on that I will share more about this week because they're supposed to release more about it, that I'm working on that will be fun. But it'll be a little bit before that can be said. Let's put that. I can tell you offline what it is, but
Yeah,
they asked me not to say anything until it gets released. So.
yeah, I know how that goes. Those are the hardest ones to sit on, especially when they're not coming out for a little while, and you're like, oh, I can't wait to talk about this one. But
Yeah, it's fun. It's not a book. It's something else, but it's fun, and it is.
is it exercise videos?
Yeah. Do you know what Zumba is?
Yeah, the
Uh,
Hoffman way. It's gonna be revolutionary.
yeah, it involves some really good sort of Caribbean music in the background because it
Yes.
um real like rumba to it, and then what I do is I don't dance because I don't know how. That's it.
I'm in. I think it's gonna revolutionize some things.
It's all about making people feel positive about their bodies, and shameful about mine. Yeah, I'll tell you offline. I'll shoot you an email.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
It is. It's fun. It was when they proposed it. I was like, yep, I'm in. Um, but I'm still trying to figure out like all the colors of this thing I'm working on here. Again, you're
I
still.
like how it's coming together. I really like your theme. I mean,
It
we
took,
kind of hit the same thing. We're both writing on something here. You've got the classics.
yeah, you're mixing and matching the classics. What is this one right now? It's a skeleton on
It's really just tied to a hot dog vehicle.
a
It's
hot dog vehicle. Okay, that's I
yeah.
did it was sideways, and I was like, those are wheels, right? Right. Um, what did
I
when
just felt like there needed to be a skeleton tied to a hot dog at this point.
so you made this collection of um, things that you put in the jars or whatever, but how did you decide what went in?
I mean, I just thought about all the funny characters, and then I was just like looking around the house, like what's an object or what's a food
Oh,
article.
it is just sort of like a classic look around for what's in your office, and that's how you
Yeah,
situation. Gotcha.
and
Uh,
favorite foods, ice creams, hot dogs, the Richard Scary way.
Mike Petrick is watching. Hi, Mike.
Hey,
Uh,
Mike.
do you know Mike?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Mike is fun. He's out Chicago way. I hope everything's okay out
Well,
there.
this is for him, really. It's a Chicago dog.
Yeah. That's what it is.
I
It's
was
just
channeling that Mike energy, I think, is what was happening there.
so. Good Fun Designs asks any tips for someone who wants to get into illustrating children's books. And so, like, there's lots and lots of people out there that ask this question, and lots of answers. But we have the man of the hour, the special ghost instead of guest with us tonight. Are there things that ring true to you that, hey, these are the ways to break into said industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and you and I were kind of talking about that again when we were out hanging out at the Banana Fest. I think the tricky thing is like some of those things that worked for me when I first started out have changed, social
Yep.
media being a big one of them. Conferences, I think, are still relevant, but, a little bit harder. Some people aren't as in person as they used to be.
Yep.
Um, I mean, for me, I still like, I tell everyone, like, when I first started out, just going to like the SCBWI conferences or like Icon conferences, just networking. And then, like, when I was in town in like New York, just, you know, finding out art directors that maybe you want to work with or publishers you want to work with and reaching out to them and say, hey, would you mind if I stop by? Most of the time, they're pretty accommodating. Again, some of that has changed due to, just a lot of people are working remotely now, so not as many people are um,
You know,
in office anymore. But for me, that was a big help to kind of get in front of people. Just dropping off some postcards or an art book. I was like just making my own little art book of pieces. Again, you can print those up so cheap, but they're I'd go back and see those art directors and they'd have that book on their shelf still, years later. So that kind of stuff does work, even if it seems kind of old school. I mean, Kidlit, like the Kidlit postcards, doing all those kind of things. When I first started out, it was like Color Collective was one of them, or, just
oh yeah,
guitar. People still do like Inktober, stuff like that, where you're just like posting material that's like, if you don't have a project that, needs it. Again, I don't feel like this is any sort of revolutionary ideology, but
no,
those
but
are things. Those were the things that definitely got me into places that I wouldn't have, especially like living out here in Colorado. Like it's not really a publisher's, you know, or even a very big kidlit group here. There's definitely some amazing and talented kidlit folks here, but it's not as big as like California, New York, some of the other ones in the
you don't
like.
have publishers there in particular that are probably uh,
Yeah, some of them have their like have like a branch here, you know. Scholastic has like a branch here, and Boulder has some good ones. But yeah, again, just like doing the work to go travel out and meet with people. I feel like the face-to-face stuff really does matter, if you can. If not, you know, just being a little bit bold, thinking like, I don't know, I'd, you know, definitely start with just following the people, you know, the publishers and the art directors that you want to, you know, kind of understand what they're looking for and types of books. But again, I don't feel like any of this is like revolutionary, but if you are getting into it, that was the kind of stuff that helped me. But last thing I would say, just reaching out to other, you know, illustrators or authors that are in that kind of style or type of work that you want to do, and just emailing or texting them, DM them. For me, that worked too. I mean, I met so many authors and illustrators that were just so accommodating and helpful and shared really good tips or just like best practices that really helped me like develop, you know, how to do book events, how to do school visits. Bob Shea was like one of the most generous. He still is just such a generous, you know, giver of experiences and best practices. So I feel like I've learned a lot from like him. And Rob McClurkin was another one that like just really
Mhm.
helped me. We were roommates at a lot of the conferences starting it out, and I don't know, just stuff like that. Just taking the time at first just to get into the industry's like network.
I mean, the thing, like you mentioned, I 100% agree. It's true. Like things have changed in the industry, so like the method in which you do it is different, but effectively it's the same basic practice, which is network. It,
Hmm.
you know, obviously making good work is a big part of it,
Yeah.
but networking and getting out and being seen is such a huge element of it, um, and allows them allows the person to sort of have conversations that are not. This is going to sound maybe this is the sort of sentiment that you're uh, mentioning, but like going to a conference is lovely, but having a heart to heart conversation about life and your career and that kind of stuff doesn't happen in a forum. It
Yeah.
happens in person. And having the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with an art director or with a agent or whoever it may be, where you talk about, you know, oh kids, da da da, like those kind of personal connections are the things that actually I think make a huge difference in land career in an industry where you are trying to be seen, but also allow for uh, you know, allow you to have a true conversation that is not just um, about making work. It's
Yeah.
about sort of who you are as a person. Uh,
Yeah.
and so I 100% agree with all the things you suggested. And I think that like, again, that universal sort of like thing that carries over from industry to industry without necessarily being um, specific to a time frame in the industry is such a important thing, and it really is about networking. It really is about talking to people and being a person, and
Yeah.
not just an email that sends them stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
so um, I Mike Petrick says, "Run that skeleton through the garden." Chicago. Matthew Bergs writes, "Do you know about Cuttlefish Academy?" I think they're based in Denver. Uh,
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's Kaz is definitely part of that one, and then
Yeah. I mean,
they're
there's,
all. Oh, go ahead, please.
oh, I was just going to say, yeah, it wasn't that there isn't any. I'm just saying, like, it's much smaller, so I feel like you have to work just a little bit harder out here to get, you know, get into the industry. Whereas, like, you know, just being out in New York was, that's why I felt like those trips to New York at the beginning really helped, you know,
Yeah.
build some recognition and connections.
So some advice would be save some money.
Yeah. But even that, like, for me, it was like, it was a stretch to make those happen at the beginning. And, you know, so like, but it was a worthwhile investment, you know, just believing in it. I mean, it can be a stretch, and I'm not saying it's like at all times that you can do that. Like, obviously, the economy we are currently in is not the easiest for making those kind of things happen. But when available and when those come around, I do think they're worthwhile investments starting out. Um, I learned a lot, especially just at those conferences at the very beginning. Now, if I was to go back to the conference, I haven't been for quite a while, I would probably go back for like writing, and do the author avenue or route. Um,
That's the same way when I think about those. I'm going for writing, not for art, and I'm also would be going for like, you're not going to be seen. You're going for craft
hmm
point. Whereas like if you're if you're looking for an agent, then some of that is, can I get in front of the right people?
Oh yeah,
And so that's not necessarily the goal if you're already being published and things of the sort.
yeah,
But I do think that sort of the writing aspect is such a good thing for illustrators that I think when I first started going to some of the conferences, it was like, oh, I'm going to go to this illustration one, and I don't mean to be um, uh, big-headed here or whatnot, but I was already teaching illustration, so a lot of the stuff was stuff that I was using in the classroom already,
yeah,
so new information to me. Whereas when I went to those writing ones, I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
yeah,
Like there was a real heavy learning curve on the writing side compared to the illustration side. Uh,
yeah, absolutely.
the other thing I would say is mentorships. I would say, if it isn't conferences, that if that's not something that you can do on a regular basis, but getting
Yeah,
yourself with people who are trying to do the same thing so you can learn from each other.
yeah,
A, a big content provider for early illustrators.
yeah.
Um,
Another good resource is the illustration department.
mhm.
Giuseppe Castellano does like a really cool like reviews, and again, if you're not able to like travel out, like he gives lots of good courses, reviews of portfolios, does like some assignments, just different levels. So I'd say like that was another one. Connecting with him when I first started out was a big help, and
Yep.
just
I know
getting
that
some pointers.
Kelly Light runs
Yeah,
a character design class through the illustration department.
yeah,
Uh, I mean, even I do mentorships
yeah,
individually, and so that idea of just getting in front of people, so you're not just a number in a way, I think is really what it comes down to, and that
yeah,
you got to be. This is the hard part for artists. You got to be social.
yeah,
People. You gotta come out from the little hidey hole that we all hide in.
yeah.
Oh, sunlight. Uh, how do I avoid the but is there, thinking back to that, to when you started out, was there something that was I mean, there's that classic, like, what advice would you give someone or give yourself when you were leaving school or anything of the sort? But looking back, was there any, rather than advice, was there any like missteps that you made that or hurdles that you ran into that you just weren't expecting?
Hmm. Um, I mean, that was the other thing, just patience. Like when I first got out of college, I worked at like a design firm for 10 years, probably 5 years longer than I would have wanted to. But um, I just, when I left college, I didn't feel like I was at a place to like jump right into children's book illustration. And so I felt like for me, it took some time just to actually build that portfolio. So just being patient with the process was, a hard, I think a hard challenge to like just know that like I wasn't right where I wanted to be right out the gates. Um, and yeah, I think, yeah, so just patience, I guess, is a hard one because obviously you want to figure it out right out the gates. But yeah, I think that for me it was just the timing of it. But then looking back, I'm like, wow, the work, even when I first got into the kidlit industry at like 2015, I look back and I'm like, I still had so much to learn. So
Whoa,
I think
whoa,
just,
whoa, whoa! Wait a second. 2015. That's when you started.
hmm well, that
I
was when my first book got published.
Wait a second. My first book got published in 2015. You've done 80 books, and I've done 16.
Well, I'm also not teaching full time.
I know, but still, that's crazy. Um, no, it's fine, whatever. There's no joke there. There's nothing. No, I was going to add into the conversation too, as I think and this joke actually plays into this, is the self-doubt. Like, people the thing that I get in mentorships all the time when I'm talking to people is that idea of like, well, am I ready to go show my work? And it's like,
Right.
that's a horrible mindset, because you're never going to be ready. You're never going to be. I always relate it to having kids. They're like, if you wait until you're stably sound to have a kid, you're going to be like 80 years old.
Yeah.
You're never going to be ready to have a kid. You're never going to be ready to show your portfolio. And so at a certain point, you just got to take that leap of faith and go, hey, you know what? What's the worst that's going to happen? Someone's going to say no.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that hold back on trying to get into the career because they're self-doubting themselves to a point wherein they don't ever even show the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like, take that leap of faith and just know that you're going to get some no's, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And every illustrator that I know that's in this industry has been told no.
Yeah.
How long they've been working, they've been told no at some point.
Yeah.
Or shot down by an art director or a publisher or whatnot. And so, like, the sooner you get those out of the way, the better.
Yeah. No, I think that's great advice.
Was there a teacher or anybody that was super influential for you?
I mean, really, I think all along the way there was a couple. When I was in high school, there happened to be like uh, an illustrator that was working professionally to do like United States postal stamps, which again, in just like this tiny mountain town that he lived there was kind of crazy. But just getting to know him, and I took some like just after school extracurricular courses from him. And that was just like the first time I thought like, wow, you can actually make a job of this, being an artist. So
Yeah.
again, that was one of those things where I was like really appreciative that my parents like put up the money to do that and saw that enough that like, believe that I'd have potential to do something like that too. So
Yeah, they gave you permission to go out and explore and try
yeah,
in some manner. It's one of those ones where like I feel like there's always someone influential, whether it's a teacher or whether it's a friend or whatnot, that sort of sparks people's interest in, or gives them the encouragement that says, hey, this isn't just frivolous. You could do something with this.
mm-hmm.
And the fact that you have that sort of resource or that person that you could sort of look back and go, that's cool that you had the opportunity to learn from someone that was, specifically in this career too,
Yeah.
some capacity. I almost dedicated this last book to him, but I think I dedicated a different book to him. This sounds bad because I don't remember. My high school art teacher was someone who, like, without him, I would not be doing illustration. And so I think that idea of, having someone that takes, I was about to say pity, that's not the right word. Someone who takes you under their wing and says, hey, you can do this, etc. Whether that be an art teacher or whether that be someone that's, in some sort of capacity of hero for you. I think it's such an amazing thing if you can get your hands on. Someone asked, what marker are you using for the line art, Luke? It's so smooth. Sorry if you said already.
Oh no, it's just like a Tombow. I don't know. It's just I just always use these ones. It's got like a really thin one on one end, kind of like a brush tip on the other end.
Is that Tombow's a pretty fab brand? One of the things are you someone who likes a specific pencil? Like there's the Blackwing pencil that I hear about all the time, but I've never known. I've tried one once and it was like, okay. But
Yeah, I'm not like I wish I was a little more. I feel like I'm always just like, oh, this is working interestingly. Like I'll just go into the art store and be like, buy a couple different things, and then be like, oh, this is actually cool.
Yeah, there's folks that like are brand specific.
Yeah, for
I've
sure.
never met those people, and it's not to say that there's probably like something where I'm like, oh yeah, I want that brand at some point. But if it gets the job done, I don't really care. And so like, Tombow I know is good, but there may be something else that's out there that strikes my fancy. It's all about going to the art store. What do you have out there? Do you have Dick Blick or some of the
We have like Meinigers is kind of the one that we have.
Meinigers? I don't even know Meinigers.
Yeah, it's just like a Colorado-based one.
What when you said Colorado based, I'm just thinking like, what would be the Colorado art store? It's like stuff for painting mountains. Wait, do the galleries out there have lots of like out here on the East Coast? There's lots of like ocean scenes and boats and things. Though that's going to sell well with like tourists and things of the sort.
Oh, absolutely.
Is there the equivalent there of like a big vista of mountains and whatnot? Like that's going to sell well to tourists.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Lots of mountain vistas, elk, deer,
Oh
bear,
yeah.
wildlife scenes, sculptures.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, it's one of those ones where like I talk to students and I go like, okay, if you're gonna have a gallery show, know your audience. Know that like you may not do the equivalent of lots of like seascapes, but know if you can put some sort of skiscape. I got it close. Piece. Know that you're gonna probably get a little bit more reaction from the folks that come from out of town and are like, oh, I'm gonna swing into this gallery and look around.
Yeah.
But and then mentioning that the art store, etc. Is that like, do you get out to the art store often? Because I know you do lots and lots of digital work, which doesn't require you to get like supplies on the regular basis, but you get opportunities to get out and be like, I want to poke around in an art store and see what they have.
I mean, more so now that my like daughters are in, or like the one daughter that does a lot more art, like I think we definitely go over there and get more art supplies now, and then I'm like, oh, that's a cool thing,
Yeah.
tool or try something different. But I mean, I don't just sit down and do this kind of stuff as much to where I'm like needing specific, I don't know, supplies or even just like you said, brands. I don't feel like I do this enough. So it's been fun to kind of do it a little bit more often and start to be like, oh, this is kind of a fun technique or a fun style to work with.
Yeah, I always like, I don't have a great art store near me. I can go down to Boston and get to a good art store, but it's also super dangerous. And so I'm tempted to like go to these places, but I also know that if I go, I'm going to buy a lot of supplies that I use once.
Yeah.
They sit on a shelf.
Yeah, exactly.
There are brands that I've tried and I'm like, they're lovely, but they are not going to get the same usage as what I normally do. And then I know I should know this, and I'm sure I've asked it before as well, but when you are doing the digital work, are you in Photoshop?
Yeah, just Photoshop.
And then is there brushes or things of the sort that you normally use?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have like a handful that I've just always used. I mean, honestly, I didn't even like make the jump to like Photoshop Cloud, until just like this year. I just was like still using old brushes and things I just collect along the way.
Yeah.
So it's been fun to kind of try to find some new ones. But yeah, I mean, I just have a lot of like ones I've collected over the years that before Kyle started working for like Adobe, he was just selling his own on like Gumroad and stuff. So I just was collecting lots of random brushes or, making my own.
Do you know Kyle?
Yeah, we've met a couple times.
I just like the fact that like the reference that you make is, well, Kyle, and it's like such an icon in the industry of making brushes. And for those, I mean, pretty much when you say that, everybody kind of knows who you're talking about. But it's funny, the first name sort of like, like we know who Kyle is. Kyle is a own entity in this industry.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's a legend, but Yeah, like speaking of like going to conferences, like when we just were first going to conferences, and he was kind of starting out, and we were. So yeah, he's a amazing, humble. I mean, what he's accomplished and what he's given the industry is pretty amazing.
I remember the first time that when he like liked some post of mine or something of the sort, or was watching or doing something, I was like, oh, that's Kyle Webster. Kyle Webster. Um, I don't know. I probably have. Uh, I'm sure that I've reached out to him at some point on Instagram of some sort, but it's funny that the one name thing works in this industry. Like people know who that is when you say Kyle. Like I didn't even question. I was like, oh yeah, I know the Kyle.
Yeah.
There's probably
We're talking digital brushes.
some illustrator named Kyle who's like, man,
Yeah.
everybody
Dang it.
says
I
Kyle.
never get the credit I deserve.
They think about him all the time. What about me? But
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you're like, I mean, you're using lots of interesting materials when you're making your collages. Or do you
right.
just have like, it seems like the cool stuff about yours is like you're doing a lot of just like recycled stuff that you've got kind of scraps and you're just finding out new ways to use them.
Oh, you don't want to see the scrap bin to the side. It is pretty horrific. It is there's way too many scraps from previous iterations, and previous sessions. So like there's every once in a while I'll get into like I try to create new colors and new things every time if I can, but in turn I end up with even more scraps. And so I've gotten to this point where like every once in a while I will say, okay, I have to make a piece that allows me to use some of those scraps. Otherwise, it's going to just continue to build this pile next to me. I had a student, I think it was yesterday, come into the classroom and they had their collage materials with them because they're interested in doing some collage work. And the thing they had was just a little tiny Ziploc bag of collage pieces. And I had to stop them and go like, is that your collage stuff? And they said, yeah. And I was like, that's it? And they go, no, there's more. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Because I couldn't believe that that's all they had for the entirety of their collage scraps. I'm like, I probably have gone through way more paper than I need to because every time I work on something like tonight, I made, let's see, there's at least 3 or 4 like sheets of trace that I didn't even use of collage here that I made tonight. And so, yeah, easily. I mean, what is that? That's got to be at least that's got to be about 4 pages worth of trace.
Yeah, that is crazy.
And so, at some point, they will get used. I'll get around to them, but not now.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yep, it's called. I need to slow down on some of that. Like the amount that I've ordered of illustration board and collage materials is a little bit excessive at times. At best. But I also, here's the sad part is I also need the digital stuff in order to survive.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
still have to have Photoshop. I still have to have Procreate. I still have to have all those things. So, I will tell you the secret though. If you teach, depending on the school, sometimes you get Adobe for free.
Yeah, that is true.
So I haven't had to pay for Adobe for 20 something years.
Wow, that's a benefit right there.
Yeah, that's I can send my son to college on that.
Yeah, seriously.
It's some ridiculous number, but what you're doing there, I love the inkwork is so nice, and the Tombow is great. Are you someone that has like, obviously like not brand specific? You just sort of use what's fun. But are there certain types of things that you prefer? Like when it comes to a pen and ink, are you like brush tip pen, or are you like I can't stand microns.
Yeah, I like the brush tip to kind of give that like a little bit more like uneven, kind of a little bit more whimsical look to it.
But I'm even at a point where I'm like starting to look at like not even using, when I do line work, I bought all these Posca markers, and I'm tempted to just shy away from the Posca marker altogether because they create a little bit of a consistent line. And I'm like trying to break my line more as time goes on.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that it's going to get too consistent eventually. And then all of a sudden I'm fighting, like it's all going to start to look the same all across the board. And so I'm wondering, like, do you have preferences of materials like that when you actually play, in the sense of like, are you a soft lead person or are you a hard lead person?
Mm,
Or does that even matter?
I don't know if that matters. I mean, like I said, I'm not very. I don't know. I don't do it. I mean, if I was doing this more for like it had to be for client work, I'd definitely be more consistent. But um, just because it is like just kind of fun. I don't know. I just like this kind of stuff is just fun just to play with and just see where it goes and get just kind of messy with it.
With
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I always like watching your show because it's like I just always see some people are just such craftsmen of their like raw materials that they're using that I don't know. It makes me want to do it more, but I'm also just comfortable with like just doing the digital for now.
there are a few folks where they come on and like this is the specific brand I use.
Yeah.
Thinking about like Ed Beer, who came on and like he had a very specific uh, pen that he used that was like, it's not even a common everyday thing now. It's some like old fashioned thing from like the 1950s.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's hard to come by. You can't find them around anymore, and yet he has one that he like treats like his baby.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to like go out there and hunt it down again. I remember my uncle, who was a art teacher in high school when we were really young. He told me he was a watercolor artist, and still is obviously, but and he was telling me that he was very careful about where he put his supplies because his kids would use them. They'd come into his studio and like pick up these $100 sable brushes and start to play with them, and it was
Totally.
of course. And like when I first started getting, or when our son was starting to get into like being the age where he'd start to play with materials, it was very important to me that he had his supplies and I had my supplies,
Yeah.
kept in different locations.
Yeah.
I didn't want him to blast through some crazy paint that cost a lot of money or whatever. But
Oh, absolutely.
and then with your daughter going into painting, is she, what kind of painting does she do? Do you have like different realms within the fine art scene, but is she actually painting? Because sometimes painting students don't paint anymore. They do like,
Yeah, because like that's the fun thing about like being in high school. She's just like they're able to do so many just like try all these new mediums and like you just have all these resources like that. You can just be like, oh, I'm going to try some, oil pastels today, or we're going to be working in, just colored pencils. Like colored pencils is probably what she loves the most. Just that, and then she's starting to do kind of like colored pencil with watercolor.
yeah,
That's a really interesting combination that I don't know, that again, like seeing the stuff she's doing, I'm like, oh, I want to do more stuff like that. It's reminding me of the joy of just kind of painting with different materials to see what kind of textures and techniques you can kind of start to expand on. I
yeah,
think it's easy to be like, well, I just do digital, and though I do know, a lot of brush types and what you're trying to get them to emulate, and that helps. But like it is, I think sometimes I'm bad at like reminding myself that I get into like gouache painting or watercolors and just remember how to use those materials that are, so easy to get that look now digitally.
yeah.
But again, I don't know. I feel like for me, the speed I have to do stuff with that also plays into a little bit of not having a lot of time to work with materials that maybe I would enjoy later in my career.
I have a feeling that when I'm old, I'm going to. Well, that makes it sound like I'm not old right now. Uh, I have a feeling that when I get older, um, actually, I'll tell you a story about that in 1 second about being old. But when I get older, I know that I'm probably going to want to like do things that are that I once uh, like the equivalent of like I might want to get oil paints out again, and I might want to do those things just because it's sort of like I want to relive my youth. You know,
Yeah.
I was going to say about being older. Today I was at the gym, and I have a personal trainer that I'm working with, trying to get my or keep myself alive at this point. The
Good thing. It's we're all trying to work towards that as much as the world's working against us.
and I was doing bench press, and my trainer like is very careful about sort of like let's put on the right amount of weight and things of the sort, and especially for what I'm trying to achieve, like she's not looking to make me a big muscle man, which is fine with me. Uh, Partially because I'm already there. I am like
I
rock
mean,
odd. No,
yeah. Well, your videotape series is going to take you that next
yeah,
level.
oh yeah, that Zumba series that we talked about. Um, but I'm sitting there, and these like must be 20-year-old kids come in and sit down on the bench next to me and put their weights on, and they're clearly benching like 3 times the amount that I am. And I'm like, oh no, like this makes me feel sad and pathetic. And I was thinking about, I was like, oh no, I'm like, it was very much a like demasculating sort of moment in my life. And then I also realized, wait a second, I'm almost 50.
Yeah.
I mind younger than what I am, but then when I realized, like, oh, I'm almost 50, it made it a whole lot easier to process. And I go, it's
Yeah.
not that bad of a deal. uh,
I'm gonna be okay with that. I'm just
yeah,
gonna
yeah. Like, it's
not
good
hurt myself.
I'm benching as much as I am because I could be benching less. Uh, but it,
I recently started to go. I loved playing basketball in high school, and then I hadn't played for like years, and then I decided to go back, start playing like in a kind of like men's league kind of thing.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it really puts it into perspective. You're like, man, it takes a lot more effort these days to do the things that used to come so easy. But
yep,
it is good. I mean, that's the fun of it, is just being like still trying to run with some of these younger guys, and I don't know, it is fun. But yeah, it's humbling, and
yes, it humbled me pretty good when I looked over and they had these giant weights on there. And then I tried to like justify it in my head and be like, well, my legs are really strong.
like, well, it was arm day yesterday,
Yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
not going to put you young pups to shame today.
They'll regret this later in life. Uh, they don't know. I'm like, I have, I have savings. That's my saving grace right there. It's oh, I need to keep in. Okay, yeah, we're still good. I was gonna say I got to keep an eye on time because we've been going. It's getting close to that 4 hour mark that we're gonna have to be mindful of eventually here.
Oh
Uh,
goodness, 4 hours, my goodness. Yeah,
yes.
I probably got to get to dinner here.
Wait.
Wow.
What?
Time flies when you're having fun, spooky fun.
Well, wait. Oh, it's 9:34. So that's what 7:34 there. Okay, so it's
Yeah,
not. It's not like crazy late. I was thinking it was crazy late there, but it's only a 2 hour difference. Okay.
yeah,
Um.
yeah. I should probably get going to dinner. I'll finish coloring up this little fella here. But
Okay.
yeah, gosh,
I,
I can't believe that's the thing I always love about doing this with you. It's like I cannot believe how quickly the time goes. Just
yeah.
talking shop and doing things we don't get to do all the time.
Having fun. Rimming.
You do a good job of that, my friend.
Thank you. I always love when I get on here, like I think I probably have said this many a times before, but every time I get to Gavin Doodle, I'm always like, oh man, it's it's been a stressful week. I don't know if I have the patience for that. And then every time, and it's not because of the person or anything of the sort, but it's just like there's just a lot going on in life. And
Oh,
then
yeah. I
at
can
the end, I'm like, that was so much fun. It's so rewarding.
imagine. Yeah.
Glad that I did it. So I asked my wife to total up how many of these shows we've done, and our estimate right now of people that we've had on, without some like special instances, we're at 169. So we have
Whoa.
9
That's
individual shows
crazy.
or individual guests on, which is crazy.
That is insane.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
It's a
And
lot of doodling.
yes,
But also, I
it's
mean, it's so awesome to see the range of people that you've had on. Just the styles. I mean, that's what's so fun to see the different styles that you have on, the different like projects that people have been part of.
my wife is a major player in that 'cause she's the booking producer, and
And
so
she's doing a right fine job of it.
yeah, she helps hunt down the people and harasses them until they say fine. We'll
Yeah. Well, she gave me that money. That money was really helpful.
wait. I didn't- Yeah, you mean the money that we normally spend on bread and milk, and our son's education?
Yeah.
Try to make you feel guilty.
Well, I mean, like I said, I'm a bit of a diva, so
Yeah,
I require a little extra.
yeah. The
No, you said you'd pay me in respect, so I took
yeah,
that. That's
yeah,
that's
yeah. There you go. I said I'd pay you in a very, very subtle, a subtle nod of attention for the night. You're lucky you even got on, Luke.
I know, right? And I didn't, especially a second timer. I feel kind of like those SNL characters that get to be like repeat hosts.
And it could be one of those situations where it was great the first time, and the second
They're like, well, he had the second, he had a chance, to prove himself, and he didn't do it again.
you're the it could be the Rob Schneider's what was that, the like Mr.
Yeah,
Ritter, that the copy guy
yeah.
making copies.
Copies.
The first time that came on, hilarious. The second time, pretty good. Third
Yeah,
time, okay, we've seen it.
yeah.
It's yeah, we'll have to make sure we don't fall into that category as time goes on. But um, I don't even know what that guy. It's got to be like the copy guy or something like that.
Yeah.
But uh, I'm watching my wait. What? Licks. What is my wife saying? Lixnay on the anime. Oh, that's okay. I get it. I didn't understand what Pig Latin was there for a second.
Oh yes, I see where we crossed the line.
Yes, she's she doesn't want me to know because she spends all my money constantly on all her fun things. Oh, I have a question for you, real quick.
Yeah.
How's living in the same town they just did Love Is Blind? You
Oh,
know,
I didn't even realize that happened. I guess they didn't accept my tape, so I didn't
yeah,
watch the series.
it's my wife loves that show. I like it too, but she gets they just wrapped last night was the reunion special for it, and there was lots of talk of since it was in Denver this season, there's lots of references to places that are around there.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So,
I don't watch that one.
oh, you're
Uh,
probably off that you don't.
Missing out.
Yeah, I feel like there was something else that was set in Denver recent. Oh, there was one other show that we watched that was the Queer Ultimatum was set in Denver, and so when
Oh,
we came out there, we were like, I wonder if we're gonna see anybody from these shows.
oh,
Um,
interesting. I haven't heard that one either.
we are big Survivor fans in the family, and there's some folks from Survivor that my wife has seen like on the T when we were younger and things of the sort.
Oh, interesting. I've always dreamed of being on Survivor. That would be the other like. If I had the free time, I would love to be on that show.
Do you watch it?
Oh yeah, we love it.
Are you watching it this season?
We're not caught up, but yeah.
Okay. We my son, we got him into it, and now we have our own draft
Oh,
where you pick, who you think's going to win, and there's points
yeah.
if they get an immunity idol and stuff.
Oh,
But
that's fun.
my wife and I think my wife I think I've seen every season, and my wife I think has seen every season minus like one episode or something like that. And so I don't remember any of the people, but it's I've thought about, like, at this point in my life, if you and I were to ever go that, we'd be the old person.
But I
We'd
think
be,
it was fun. Like I feel like we have a fun character. Like I'd like to see a children's book illustrator on there. That'd be a quirky character.
there probably has been someone who has like some relationship to it, but
I don't see that many like artist type people on there. Like sometimes they're like tattoo artists or I don't know. I'm always like, I don't know, maybe they need somebody repping the artist group.
the problem is if you get up to the voting, and then like all of a sudden, okay, who did the beautiful type on their parchment?
Yeah.
Like, that was Mark again. We know that one's his vote because
Yeah.
he took too long up there, and it's got a little cute drawing with it. That's actually like one of the fears if I ever went on that show, is like not showcasing or like trying to be loose with how I would write people's names to make sure I'm not recognized as a specific vote.
Yeah.
It's such a dumb thing to think about, but it's akin to what, how you got to play that game.
Yeah.
But I would be
I
really
do
good.
great with, like the lying. That's the one part that I always struggle with. I'm like, I don't know if I'd be that. I'm not a great liar, so it's like I might have to really up my lying skills.
I mean, you did lie about that money thing with my wife.
Or did I? Or
Badass.
did I?
Was hearing that upstairs. I heard that my statement like blare out on the speaker that my wife's listening to this on. Got to paint these trees. Done with this bad boy.
I really like how yours came together.
It took a while. The colors were all over the place at the beginning, but it's a little more painterly than what I normally do. I'm not like I'm using more paint than I am collage at this point, but it's okay. I'm okay.
That's good.
It's there's some days where like when I'm done with it, I know immediately it's a piece that I love, and then there's other ones where it takes a little bit of time. I have a feeling this one's going to take a little bit of time before I get there, so we will see.
I think you've done a great job, Mark.
Uh-oh!
Really good.
Someone's back. Someone woke up from their sugar coma. What kind of candy did we eat?
Well, I'm partial to Mr. Bones, but those are hard to find.
Wait, what are Mr. Bones? Is that like bone-shaped candy?
Yeah, in the coffin, the classic.
I don't remember those. That's does it come with skulls?
You build a whole skeleton, and he comes in a little plastic coffin. You got the chest piece, you got the shin bone, you got the feet bone, the arm bone, you got the skull.
The skull bones?
It's beautiful. It's like sweet tot kind of candy.
That's I like the idea of the shin bone, which is a real bone, and then you get into the foot bone, which implies that there's one bone for the entire foot. But I guess maybe in a puppet that's how it works.
It's very true.
Yeah, that's they don't have a lot of bones to begin with. Do you know how many bones you have in your body, Mr. Monster?
Well, I felt like maybe 27, perhaps. Some armature in there. I can feel it moving. As I get older, it starts to get a little rusty.
I can feel it moving. It's floating around in there somewhere. It's
the foam is starting to break down. It's rough.
And how old are you, Mr. Monster? Do you have a sense?
I am 6, a very, very mature 6.
Yeah, I was gonna say you've gone through voice changes already. Or maybe it's gonna get deeper. Maybe it's more gruff as time goes on.
Yeah, I got to give up the cigarettes. They're really rough on the voice, but it's the candy cigarettes really. I chew about five packs of those a day.
I was gonna
Just
say
pure chalk. It's really just chalk.
You can find those around. They're still available. It's that and Big League Chew. Do you ever try Big League Chew?
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah. You only chew that if you're into baseball. That's the catch, is you can't You can't chew Big League Chew unless you like baseball. Um, and then, Mr. Monster, what's your normal bedtime? Since you're 6, this must be way past your bedtime.
Way past, way past. Mr. Flowers is being very kind to me. Let me stay up and mess with all the toys in his office. I've rearranged everything. He's going to enjoy that tomorrow.
And then you're in a very close relationship with Mr. Flowers. He's he has his hand in places that we probably don't want to know about, right?
Oh, he's got his hand in everything these days.
That's a nice way to put it. And then, are you going to dress up as anything for Halloween?
That's a good question. I'm thinking about going as a, I haven't really thought about that. Bruce Springsteen album cover sounds real tempting.
We'll have a hand in the cover, a wrist being shown.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm trying
Maybe
to
a Bob Dylan. You know, he's got some iconic ones, I think.
You got a. I'm trying to think. Is there a favorite costume that you've had when you were younger? When you were like 5, 4, 6?
I made a really nice homemade Spider-Man costume out of a ski mask. Drew magic markers. My hand-drawn spider was top-notch. And then I had blue sweats and a red sweatshirt again that I definitely just hand-drew a Spider-Man that would put Stan Lee to shame. And then, and some rain boots, some red rain boots. And I looked so glorious.
That sounds like what's that first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man before he made the costume, where it was all made out of sweatpants and
It was.
things of the sort. Sounds right up that alley.
Yeah, I'm a bit of an artisan. It sounds like you're an artisan too when it comes to Halloween costumes.
Not so much. I try, but it's called luck. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. This year was a don't for me, but last year was okay. Last year I went as what did I go as last year? I went as Rick Moranis from Ghostbusters, if I remember.
That I can see that working for you. Glasses, you got the glasses in there.
The Keymaster, that's what it is. I went as the Keymaster, and my wife went as the Gatekeeper, and our son went as the Grim Reaper, which didn't make any sense, but we tried.
It's multi-universe kind of ideology.
Yeah. It's a crossover with. Oh wait, what? Oh no, he went as Stay Puft Marshmallow Man that year. You're right. Yeah, we were all Grim Reapers one year. That's right. I'm getting it all mixed up. It doesn't matter. Okay, I think I'm done here with this guy. I'm gonna switch back to my camera, to my face, so they can see. I'll try to put my one tooth out. I tried.
Oh, spitting image. You and me. It's like looking in the mirror.
Oh, other side. There we go. Well, thank you, Mr. Monster, for joining me tonight and bringing along your friend Luke Flowers, who is here to chat with us and have a lovely conversation. I know that you got to go put him to bed soon, or get dinner soon.
Yeah.
Well, he's got to make his dinner, and then he's got to probably make you dinner. What are you going to have for dinner tonight?
We usually just have pigs in a blanket, the hot dogs in a croissant. You just wrap it up, cook it up, and it's delicious.
Ooh, that's like French in a croissant.
Oui.
Wow. So international. Well, I appreciate you joining for the night, and I hope you have a lovely Halloween.
You too, my friend. You too. Trick or treat out there. And, I think we scared a few pants off and a few socks off tonight. And that is a mission accomplished for me.
Sadly, it was just my pants and socks. It was no one else. But again, I will be in touch. And if you post any of these things, put a little hashtag me on there. or at me, so I get to see him. Oh, okay. You wrestled him to the ground. He's no longer.
Yeah.
But thank you. It was lovely chatting with you. And again, I appreciate everything you do and how nice and supportive you are, not only for me, but for the artist community. And hooray.
All right. Thank you, my friend.
All right. I will
Have a good spooky day.
All right. Bye. Okay. Yeah. I'm waiting. I'm making sure that Luke. Oh, hey. There we go. Wait. Oh, there we go. Okay. I think Luke has departed. I will announce now. Next week, I have to make the ads tomorrow, I believe. But next week is going to be Felicita Sala, and that'll be very exciting. We're big old fans in this household, and we have a great lineup for next month. Some really great names. I hope that everybody can join us, and I hope everybody enjoyed not only the conversation with with Luke Flowers, but also the lovely conversation with Monster, who was amazing. Oh, Rob shows up. Hi, Rob. Mr. Rob McClurkin showing up. Rob, you got to go back and watch the beginning of this and see how Luke did, and Luke's pal Monster, who showed up. I think you will enjoy it. Anyways, I'm gonna do a few couple things real quick on this piece. I'll flip back down and finish it off, and then I'll put it on the lovely little board. Here's the sketch that I had for it. You can probably see that there. Let's see if I can zoom in. Whoop, there we go. And then this is where it stands now. And so I'm going to do a couple other little odds and ends that I needed to touch up in here. I wanted to get a little ear in there and maybe some. Oh, it got blurry on us. Okay, well, maybe I'll finish this up on the side and then I'll send it off. Because I don't want to. How did that get blurry in the last? Like, I just go to that. All right, I'll finish off like this then, and I'll finish it on the side. You get to see my blurry face for the last second. Y'all have a lovely evening. I will see you next week with Felicita Sala on Thursday, and you'll see the ad for the month coming up in a matter of a day or so. Y'all have a lovely evening. Bye.
I think we scared a few pants off and a few socks off tonight, and that is a mission accomplished for me.
Sadly, it was just my pants and socks. It was no one else.